Welcome to the Late Night with Chalky podcast.
You're all good.
Okay, ready?
Ready?
Okay, hold on. Friends and family, brothers and sisters, welcome to the Late Night with Chalky podcast.
Wow. Kind of quiet over
That
there.
was pretty good.
Dude, you gotta liven it up, bro. Here, let me do that.
Come on.
Our guest this week is a surfer, drummer, designer, and entrepreneur. He's talented and creative. He's one talented and creative dude. Spent 14 years at Hurley as global design director. Holy smokes. During those years, he was also a rock star drummer in the band Japanese Motors. In 2020, he and his cousin started a company where we're at right now, Ola Canvas, which makes timeless surf bags cut from dead stock of military spec canvas. The brand continues, as you can see, to push the concepts forward, rooted in surfing with a developed full range of apparel, bags, accessories, and specialty collaborations. We are pumped to hear all about surfing, music, design, and building a company. We welcome Andrew, Dad, Atkinson.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Stoked.
Dude,
So we're talking
I wasn't expecting this, but
So
it's
we-
super nice
Yeah.
to be here.
Well, we're pumped, and we like to talk about nicknames, and
Yeah.
you said yours was Dad.
It's dad. Today it's dad. Yeah.
we're going to be running the ball with
Yeah.
that.
We can adjust that down the road next interview.
First off,
Too.
Happy New Year. Congrats
Thank you.
on Ola Canvas. And dude, we like to celebrate people that come from our industry, that come from our culture. And what you and Eric Sheehan have done is another example of the great American dream.
Definitely.
But before we get into that, let's start at the beginning. Dad,
Ooh,
where'd you
Where'd you
grow
grow
up, and how did you find surfing?
wow. So I grew up in Lakewood, California.
Lakewood.
Lakewood, drain the lake and burn the wood. Yeah, Lakewood. So it's like literally if you walked across the street, it's Long Beach. We lived in Lakewood and grew up in a pretty amazing family. My dad was definitely an entrepreneur himself. He actually had a lot of things handed to him that he walked away from and went his own path. And his whole line was LA based, and just growing up in Lakewood was an interesting thing because it's inland, it's not cool. At that time, like if you're from Lakewood and you're surfing, like you're just automatically mocked, or you just get picked on. Like that was considered inland, and it's Long Beach too. And so
Hey, don't talk shit about Long Beach. That's where I'm from.
well,
And Lakewood's
I
probably a
love it.
little cooler than Long Beach.
I don't know.
A little bit closer to the beach. Too.
Like right now, I'd just be like, yeah, I grew up in Long Beach, because all the hipsters mean. Like everyone's like, oh, sweet, we're killing it.
So,
We live in Long Beach.
can I ask what you were talking about your dad? What was handed to him, and what was the path that he took?
To go before that, his dad was the owner and operator of a bus company in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Called Safeway Lines, and it was Atco before that, and then it became Laidlaw, and then that became like Mayflower, I think.
Well,
So it's a huge like charter bus company, and back then like that's how, like, just growing up in the LA area, like it's like we don't have the infrastructure, like you can't take the subway, you can't do this. But so what they did was they took football teams and also obviously like charters wherever you're going.
Yeah.
So my grandpa started that whole thing, and my dad was obviously his successor, and he crushed it. He was part of the company for a long time, and my grandpa super successful. He retired in TV and had a dream house, orchard. He had a train in the backyard that all the grandkids could like chug around on.
Yeah.
It was that big. Like
Palos Verdes
Yeah.
fucking beautiful too.
yeah, it was amazing. Like it's its own Garden of Eden, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
Like it's once you get off the freeway, you're like, I'm so far from the freeway.
Yeah.
I like things.
Its own little bubble.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, my dad worked within that company, learned like all the ins and outs, whatever. My grandfather passed away. I think it was 88, something like that. And my dad was already pursuing ministry, which is working within the church. And at some point in time in his life and his decision, he's just like, you know what? This is what I'm pursuing. I'm gonna step away from this, and I'm going this way. And I think, as an entrepreneur, like seeing somebody that does something like that, where you can have like an entire empire handed to you, or have something that makes you very comfortable, that makes you like so fulfilled financially or materially, and just walk away from it and go, I'm gonna go down this route. And to be completely frank, like we all hated it. Like me and my brother and sister were just like,
What are you doing?
like yeah, it's like
Did he sell it or?
no, he walked away from it. Like it eventually got sold and divvied out. There's a lot of drama and trauma that goes with that.
Yeah, other
Yeah,
family
Other,
members.
yeah, brothers
Yeah,
and
they're
sisters,
like
uncles, aunts, like,
and stepmoms,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So the
but
fortune kind of got dwindled.
it got divvied out, and not so much like a thing where it's like, oh heck yeah, we're all rich.
Yeah.
And so that never happened, which was also like a big lesson to me. Like, so as a young kid, my dad, I had to come to terms with it. My dad's a pastor, and which is super rad.
Yeah.
It's super cool, but sometimes it's very difficult.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so
Financially.
financially for sure. This is before mega churches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So within that, like, just with growing up that way and being like not as, I don't know, like good cash with tons of friends. You want to do this. You want to go do this. You want to go surf. You want to go snowboard. You want to
Everything costs money.
yeah. You want to be a skater. Like you're like, oh, a skateboard costs $78, but that's just the truck and decks.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, the grip tape's
Another
$7.
10,
Yeah, or
everything,
10,
yeah.
Wheels, bearings.
And then everything just adds up, and like
So this helped push your fuel, like
That
make
was-
some money. At a
that
young
was my
age.
fuel to like. I'm like, okay, it's not like I'm not gonna be getting paychecks from my dad. I'm not
How,
gonna be
how
getting
old were you when he transitioned to being a pastor?
Dude, I was super young.
Okay.
Like, like 5 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you.
But I still remember like going to the old bus yard when the alarm went off, and my dad's just like, stay in the car, and it was in South Central,
Wilmington and South
like
Central.
super sketchy.
Yeah.
Like stay in the car, like lights going off, like burglar alarm, and
So it's like a big bus yard.
it was huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge. So
How many buses did they have?
Hundreds.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it was
That was a
it was big.
multi-billion-dollar
Yeah.
business.
Like yeah, it's bigger than like this entire lot.
Yeah.
Plus like I think if a bus yard has like a mechanic like area where it's
We're
underground,
like
like
6 buses at once.
yeah, so like it was pretty big. Like
Yeah.
we never got too into it. My dad passed away a year and a half ago, so like I didn't get all the details that me and my brother and sister wanted. But anyway, so LA like was
Skate scene. That was your deal. Get in.
so yeah, so all I want to do is like I want to be a part of this, and like way back in the day, the elementary school across the street from us in Lakewood, a bunch of at that time professional skaters, like street skaters, came in, and they were just blowing our minds.
Was it a demo or was it just skating?
No, they were just skating. Like
Yeah.
back then, it was like pretty punk. Like you'd find a school, you'd find A rail, like you find
Yeah.
whatever, and like and you'd skate it and like skate
Who
it
were
well.
these skaters? Do you remember?
The only person I can remember off the top of my head, I was trying to rack my brain on this, but it was like Matt Hensley, which
Whoa.
like was like he was one of the guys, and then I think Ray Barbie was there too. Like I think
Yeah.
like don't I guess
Templeton.
I can't don't quote me on that. I guess for
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if Templeton was there or not, but it was like a full crew. These guys were super cool, like, and we'd always skate this. It was just like a 2-step ledge, and then it had like a drain and do whatever. And, like,
Yeah.
but like after like us growing up trying to skate, we see these guys and like, oh my gosh.
Those are life-changing experiences, you know, like
When
it's a
you
trip
see-
when you see
When
somebody.
you see it live like
Yeah.
that versus
Yeah.
like at a video or magazine prints, like
Yeah.
when you see it live, it's like holy crap.
And when you like, and they're cool,
Yeah.
like if they're cool to you and you're watching these, you know, athletic geniuses
No.
and they're cool to you, that makes you even more inspired to fucking want to be
I want
like
to be
them.
just like him.
Yeah. So
Or her.
skateboarding
Yeah.
was your first like bug.
That was kind of, yeah, I think that was the gateway bug to the industry a little bit.
Yeah.
But
What do you remember your first skateboard?
it was a Lester.
Kasai.
I can't-
Sims?
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
Sims board. Yeah, it was huge. Like all my friends, like at that point, like had the narrower.
Yeah,
like I
popsicle.
get this like '80s board,
Yeah.
and like had wide trucks and like bigger wheels, and then like I'm like cool, I'm a skater now. And all my like friends are like have like
Yeah.
an equally balanced deck, like
Like the
No,
popsicle
yeah.
90s style.
yeah.
Small
But I had the
wheels.
'80s. I had the like
Yeah.
the '80s like pretty much like pool
So-
board.
Did you notice, sorry, Laura, did you notice a financial shift because of that transition? Like, did you, you know, kind of consciously or, you know what I mean? Like, were you getting whatever you wanted before when your dad was running the business and then afterwards you were like, holy shit, we can't afford anything anymore? Did you?
Yeah, that was
You
very apparent in my
Yeah.
in like kind of my whole upbringing, and it was never like I knew if I actually like needed money or needed something I could ask my dad. But,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like
You felt the riches to rags kind of reality.
yeah. But like for me, like it just like early on, like I had to make the decision where it's like, you know what, if I want to do things I want to do, if I want to have the things I want to have, like I can't rely on my parents
Yeah.
to just divvy that out to me.
That's kind of a great
Well,
way
it
to
sucks
learn.
at the time, but it's a good life lesson.
Yeah.
Like to learn earlier than later.
It sucks
Yeah.
at the time.
It sucks at the time, you know, because you have to work. Your friends are probably getting handed stuff, or they're getting stuff new, and
Yeah.
you're like, dude, I had a paper route, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
at like 12, 13. You
And
know?
the shift to that too, it's like we were always, for the most part, in private school, and our private school was here in Costa Mesa, Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa. So all my
Good friends.
all the people I went to school with, like friends or not friends, were very fluent.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't. Like we carpooled like from Long Beach with this is gonna be great. So like we had a couple of families we carpooled with. One of them, their last name was the Stoners. The other one, their last name was the Hookers.
What?
Like the
Stoners and hookers.
The Stoners and the Hookers, yeah. And we had a bunch of others, but those are the two that just like stand out. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, wouldn't you change your name at this point? Like, and,
I was thinking that's a fucking cool ass name.
well, yeah,
And
yeah.
then hooker.
There's more that'll probably come out later, but the Raz part was like we'd be on the 405 freeway in the back of one of those like big cattle like or not
Winnebago,
Cadillac.
like-
No, the was it the Chevy? I don't know, but they had it was
Suburban?
I can't remember what they're called right now. It's not the hatchback, station wagon.
Station
Yeah.
wagon.
Yeah, so like 3 in the front, 4 in the middle, and 4 in the back.
Yeah.
And
Big ass.
yeah, and
Those
like,
things
I
are
remember,
rad.
we were in the suicide seats with is what they call them, the ones that face
Faces
each
the
other.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Or the side.
and we're just in the car and like in the carpool lane, like just like inches away from accidents every day, listening to Dr. James Dobson and like weird stuff on the radio. Then we get to school, and so like my reality at that point was just like, oh, I'm doing this, doing that, and I'm like, that's why I wanted to get into something. Like I want to surf, I want to skate, I want to have an identity in something that is at my point in time in life that's tangible. Like,
Yeah.
So there was probably no surfers at your neighborhood.
Not in my
And there-
neighborhood,
and
but
there's
a
a
ton,
ton,
yeah,
yeah.
ton, yeah.
Tons.
That's
That's
how I met,
who
yeah.
all your friends eventually became your.
Yeah, so like that's how I met Ryan Hurley, like who I worked with for a long time. He's a good
So
friend.
you met him way back then.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't we weren't friends.
Yeah.
But we
Knew
like
each
that's
other.
yeah.
Yes.
But like, so with me going into this like school of really privileged people, like,
Yeah.
and you feel unprivileged, and you want to kind of like grasp onto things, you want to grasp onto like, it's like, okay, I'm not a jock, like I can't play basketball, like
Yeah.
I don't want to do this, I don't, like, I'm a terrible runner, I have asthma. And then like the surfing thing was also still an anomaly to me at the time because I just wasn't there. Like I didn't have the skill set. I didn't have the access. I didn't. So I wanted to belong to that.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And my brother Dan Atkinson, like he was able to like get into that a little bit
Sooner.
deeper and sooner.
Older, younger?
He's older, yeah.
Okay.
But so for me, like it took me longer to crack into the surf community. But within that, like my whole thing was like identity crisis. So I got into music, and that's what my identity was at the time. And then
How old?
probably like 6th grade, 7th grade, where it's
So,
just,
like,
you
11
flip-
years old?
That's where you flip the switch and you're like, okay,
11 years old,
like
right?
I'm
Or
putting
12.
Like junior high?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's like junior high.
Yeah, it's like 11, 12, I think is like
Yeah.
your 6th grade.
Yeah.
Were you like going to worship at church or, like hearing music, or was it just radio? Like what, like?
No, so
like-
well, that's when I think it's close, probably like the actual like going into like where it encompassed me was like 8th grade, going to 9th grade, and that's when like you start dressing different.
Yeah.
Like
You find your style.
You gotta have the stud, you like
Yeah, it's like your identity is developing, and you're kind of
Yeah.
like,
Are you talking like punk rock music and
yeah, I was like punk, yeah, it was
Okay.
punk, yeah, like even just.
what bands were you
Well,
gravitating?
yeah, just even going back to your like one of your guys' last podcasts, like No Effects was like a huge one.
Yeah.
My parents hated it. Like, that was the worst thing. Like, so I was like at that time it was probably like No Effects, Lagwagon, Unwritten Law, like all the surf
The
bands
90s
that
punk
that
band
came from
explosion.
like our famous
yeah.
surf video.
Yeah.
TSOL.
Yeah. So, but yeah, TSOL too. Like, but it was a lot of it was just like that new, I don't know, genre of punk, which isn't quote unquote punk.
Yeah.
But it was rad because the reason I got into it, it was faster, it was new, and that's what like made me feel different.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I can.
What
it was
is-
on the radio. That was.
What instrument were you into learning and playing?
At that time, I think I was already playing the drums. I started playing the drums when I think I was in 6th grade, and I learned how to play drums at church. Some random dudes just like stop banging on the drums. Like, I'll teach you a beat. And it was just like, it was so simple to me now, but like back then it was just like
Yeah.
mind-boggling.
Yeah, the coordination.
My foot's doing this, my hand's doing this, the other hand's doing this.
Yeah,
and-
But rhythm, he taught you rhythm, like,
yeah,
like,
it was one beat.
like-
So it
Yeah.
started with one beat.
yeah.
1, 2, 3,
Tempo.
4. 1, 2. Yeah, and it changed. That changed my life, and that also like. So music was kind of like, I don't know, like the catalyst to all of it. Like it was the catalyst that made art work out, surfing, skating, like all of it. Like it was the thing that like put it all together.
Yeah.
And at that time, in like I know you guys can testify to it, but during that time in history, like there was genre, there was identity within music, right?
Yeah.
Like
Subcultures.
Yeah, so it was the subcultures. Yeah, and if you're like listening, if you're like a rap guy or you're this guy, like it's just a total different.
Yeah,
like,
you dress like that
Yeah, as a social
skater.
structure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the way you dress
And the type of music you listen to is the type of dress and skater that you kind of emulated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hash,
identify
fresh.
with, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Emo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That came like 5-8 years later.
So you're going to school, you're living in Lakewood, it's, you know, two different worlds.
Yeah.
Like, who are you hanging out with on the weekends? Like, cause you're back, you know, like
Yeah.
how are you getting down to the beach, or when did you start surfing?
So, yeah, to answer that question, at that time it wasn't really going to the beach because I didn't have access. Like, and I couldn't hang out with my friends at the private school, but I had my neighborhood friends, which, like, I still talk to them. It's like I don't talk to any of my private school friends,
Yeah.
but we did like the craziest stuff
Yeah.
that you can dream of, like literally, and got into surfing through my brother because he was on the surf team at Calvary and blah blah blah. But at the same time, like I didn't have access. So I'm like, my dad's not taking me to go surfing. My mom's not taking me to go surfing. My brother wasn't driving at the time, and so it was,
But he was getting his way out there.
yeah, he was like he was super involved. So he got a lot of privilege within that community at the school we were going to, but he was like, I'm just trying to find myself.
Yeah.
At the time, like
You didn't want to tag
I
along.
still, yeah, and like I couldn't. Like I was 2 years younger, and like back then, like that gap
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Like, it probably still is. Like, so yeah. So anyways, like,
Yeah, but you're hanging out at home, you know, on the weekends with your Lakewood crew. Were any of those guys surfing or going to the beach?
some of them they're spongers. Like,
Spongers, okay. Yeah.
yeah.
I think we all started off
Yeah.
sponging anyways.
Yeah, so within that group, like
Straight down 22 to Seal or Huntington.
yeah, straight down down the river with
Nice.
San Gabriel River, yeah. To Seal was only like 3 miles, but
Yeah.
felt like that was
Bro, you're talking the same language as I did because I grew up in Long Beach, but North Long Beach,
Yeah.
and my shit was. I talk about it. It's 2.5 hour, almost 3 hour bike ride
Yeah.
from my house to
What
Seal
was
Beach.
your cross streets?
You know where Artesia is?
Yeah.
In South Street.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of that, off of Cherry.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So my dad's church was off of South and Atlanta.
okay,
Yeah, so I know the area
yeah.
pretty well.
But imagine,
Yeah, that's a track.
yeah, it was
Then
a
you're on
trip,
the
but-
LA River. Like.
Dude, we loved it though. It was
Yeah.
freaking
Every day is an adventure.
summertime. Like we'd wake up as at the crack of dawn, and just boom.
Oh yeah, go.
No bike racks. You hold your fucking bike.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
There's
we
no
had,
bike racks.
yeah.
Yeah.
You duct tape a towel like around the handlebars so you got breast in without it getting all
Yeah.
dinged up.
Yeah.
So boogie boarding, and then how did you finally get a board and get into surfing?
So my first board was from Gold Coast Surf and Sport, which is
Yeah.
in Long Beach. Or
Chris
was-
DeGrazio?
Chris DeGrazio.
Yeah.
So Chris DeGrazio was my first surf boss. I got into plumbing before that. You don't need to talk about that.
Wait, you got into plumbing?
My first job because I was trying to figure it out. Like I'm like, I need money. Like I was 15, and so I started working in the plumbing yard, like off of Paramount in South Street.
That's not a typical like 15-year-old job.
Yeah.
That's like
What-
I worked my
real
butt
man
off.
work.
Yeah.
What was plumbing? Why plumbing?
Because it was an opportunity and I wanted to make money.
Like, who told you about it? How'd you find out?
Someone from the church, probably.
Yeah.
Like this job pays
Yeah.
So
well if you could
So,
figure it out.
so yeah. So anyways, like I go from that, like making pretty decent money for my really good money for my age, like really good money.
Yeah.
Into like my brother worked at Gold Coast before me, and so like I got an introduction. I'm like, we don't hire 16-year-olds, so I'm 16 at this point. Like, how do you get? And I worked my butt off there. Like, it was probably the most uncomfortable work environment I still
Where?
have at Gold Coast Surf and Sport. So this one was in Lakewood, and then you had one in Long Beach, and then you had one.
In Huntington.
I don't know if you ever had one in Huntington. Though.
Yeah, I think so. Off of like Springdale.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyways, like at 16 years old, I was like hustling super hard for this guy, and it came to the point where I'm like, people are stealing from you. Sorry, people are stealing from you.
Yeah.
And like, so I started like just seeing like everything that was going on. Like I grew up in the church, so I'm like, and I didn't want to be a rat, but I'm like, people are stealing from you. I'm not gonna tell you who or how, whatever. And
But it's happening.
This,
You
there's,
know.
it's happening.
there's no cameras back
Yes.
then.
It was
like,
not, yeah. So then it finally came to the point where like I was working the one in, I think it was technically Long Beach, it was off Woodruff and Los Coyotes, and a bunch of kids came in and they were doing this shoe scam, like stealing a bunch of shoes. Like, but it was super clever, but I already like figured out their game. And so I called Chris DeGrazia, and he's like, lock him in the store and call the cops. I'm like, I'm 16 years
Yeah.
old. And I have a bunch of like kids from Long Beach in the store that are like, that
Yeah.
kick my butt. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like, and yeah. Anyway, so that was
that's
like
why you don't hire 16-year-olds. You need somebody a little bit more intimidating running
Yeah.
the store.
I was still carrying a gun. I'm just kidding.
So what happened? You didn't lock the door?
I locked the door.
Yeah.
They panicked, and I told them I was calling the cops. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, "Get out of here! I'm gonna never come back here again. Like, this is grace."
Wow.
And it, like,
And it worked.
It worked. Yeah, it worked. They never came back, but it's still like I was about to piss my pants. Like,
Yeah.
I was scared.
That's
I was
a
scared
heavy-
Like, yeah.
Task for a kid at 16 years old to.
That's also not supposed to happen when you're a kid. But
No, not at all.
The
But-
shop had one employee.
But you were like pretty, you know, righteous in doing it, but also crazy for doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because who knows what these, you know, what it could have turned into.
No, I couldn't like that. Obviously, that was going through my mind.
Yeah.
Could have gone bad.
Yeah, I'm like,
How many kids?
I think it was 3.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
at
fucking-
least, like, yeah. Like, it's.
Did you get rewarded?
No. Like,
Chris DeGrazio didn't award you with
he
something?
told me I did a good job.
Yeah.
That was
Kept
it.
your job.
No,
Yeah.
no, hey, fucking
He's- to be
take a
honest-
board off the racks. Or,
No, but he was like a icon in my life that like actually showed me like certain things about business, certain other things about business.
Yeah.
But like he was actually a pretty cool dude. Like
Yeah.
And the second I could get out of there I was stoked. And so my next job was so I went from there like and it's also like kind of funny because following my brother's footsteps, he went so this. A friend of ours, Joel Commercial, his father, Joe, was part of Hurley back in the day. And
Billabong too.
Billabong, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's rad. And Joel's rad too. So Joel worked with this guy from Hawaii named John Carper.
JC Hawaii.
JC, and,
Oh.
yeah. And that was my next introduction to the surf industry.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's 17 or?
yeah, I was probably I had to be 17.
But before we go into that, what was your first surfboard? What did you get?
Oh, it was one off the rack from Gold Coast, like, and I picked the one with like all the lambs on it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Used or new? Where you get
It was
good
used.
enough deal?
Oh, used.
Okay.
Yeah, used.
Sometimes you can
used,
get a good
yeah.
deal and might
Oh,
get
yeah.
one new.
What
I think it was like $75. Like,
what brand or what
I don't remember what it was.
logos?
They like to be honest, I actually tried to rack my mind before this.
Mango, Maui and Sun.
No, it wasn't even like stuff like it was recognizable. It's like
random
no.
logos.
Yeah. But like the thing sucked. Like it was so thin, and I don't know, just just like trying to become a surfer. Like that was my first board, and then
And how were
one of the
you?
other ones was
How were you surfing? Were you pretty good? Did you?
not at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm good now, but like
What spots were you going to?
Sunset Beach,
Nice.
Anderson Street.
Anderson
Yeah.
Street.
That was our accessibility. Seal Beach was the closest thing, but Seal.
Yeah. We've talked about this in the past, like Lakewood, Long Beach, fucking everywhere, all the little inland empires, Rossmore.
Well,
Like- That Sunset Beach Anderson Street was the fucking go-to spot. For all us
That was a
Southerners.
beacon. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's typical all up and down the coast. Like the Fountain Valley. Those
Yeah.
guys are going down. Mags or Burkers.
Yeah.
And going. The River Jays.
Ours was
Yeah.
Anderson Street. It was amazing.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you go to Wilson?
I went to Jordan, bro.
Oh, Jordan. Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's right.
Jordan,
up
bro.
the street
Yeah.
from my dad's real street.
Yeah, I'm in the hood.
Yeah.
So
I know someone that lives around there.
So JC Hawaii was your next
Next
stepping
step,
stone.
next step. I'm like, oh, I can make more money. And,
And
I'm like in like the hands-on. Like I'm gonna learn how to shape boards. I'm gonna learn how to
Wow, you're that into it.
glass board. Oh yeah, because just to step back a little bit, my dad was a carpenter. Like he built everything. He taught me like so much stuff about working with my hands, and that was my skill set at the time. And
Hence the plumbing job, and you're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
interested
No,
in
yeah.
like using hands and figuring it out.
Yeah,
He's an
figure-
electrician too.
figuring out do electrical side. I'll give you my number later. No, but like like just the hands-on doing
Yeah.
doing stuff like learning how to glass boards, hot coat them, like seeing how the shaper worked, the sander, like everything. And back then it was like all the boards were airbrushed. But it was like such an art form. Like you go through 10 rolls of tape doing one board.
Yeah.
And it was just a waste.
You followed Dennis Jarvis on like his hairsprays. It's
Oh,
freaking
sick.
mental.
Oh yeah.
Like
So-
took 10 rolls of duct tape.
Yeah.
Or, masking tape.
Yeah.
So who Joel Commercial
Got my brother into it.
got your brother
I
into it,
think, Yeah.
and then
And then Dan got
they
me.
needed more help,
Yeah.
and you said,
So I came in, yeah.
what
to-
were you
I was,
hoping
I was
to
packing boards at
pack
the
the
time.
board? Okay.
So packing boards, just learning the whole thing and just watching, learning. Down the road, I started like cleaning the floors and
Yeah.
like it was all just like if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. Like it was just like always doing something,
Yeah.
and it was the most brutal environment, like from a health standpoint. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that and how much just not wasteful, but how dirty and how much stuff like a factory has.
Yeah.
From foam dust to tape to paints to resin. I mean, everything's
It's
But
so
with
gnarly.
all that said, how psyched were you that you were like deep in the industry,
I was
learning
so-
from one of the most respected
yeah.
shapers?
Yeah, at that time I was with like Peter Mell is like
Riding him.
the
Dorian.
Yeah.
and Dorian was on the top of his game.
Yeah.
and like all the Taylor Steele stuff was just like
Gallagher was on
pumping.
too
Yeah,
then.
I think so. Yeah, it was rad. It was super cool to like feel like I'm a part of this intricate part of the surf industry. That
How were you getting to work? Did you have your own car? Or?
Yeah, it was like
What was your first
I
car?
got my it was a '84 Nissan Sentra hatchback. Stick shift.
Yeah.
It was so sick.
Hatchback.
Yeah. No, it was rad. Like, and I put the biggest subwoofers in there and just like this, and I had the amp and like just like the CD.
That's
rack.
all that matters. The car got A to B, but you had a 6 sound system.
Oh,
That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Oh yeah, and it's just like, and I'd just be playing like Good Riddance and No Effects, Lagwagon, like all the like the surf punk bands at the time, like, but like having a car and a license when you're 16 years old, was
Yeah.
dynamite.
The world is yours.
Yeah, so like that's why I was able to get a job, and that's why I was able to go get another job. That's why
Yeah, gave you opportunity and
Yeah.
accessibility.
that
to
was
go-
the
yeah.
access I need. I'm like, okay, if I want access, I gotta do it myself. I gotta actually learn, listen, like figure it out, get my license, buy a car.
Did
It's
those-
$500 by the way.
Did that JC factory
You bought
job?
your car for 500.
$500.
Sick.
Yeah.
From who?
Yeah.
A little old lady from
A
Pasadena.
city worker.
That's crazy.
And then I learned how to like on that car. I learned how to replace everything.
'Cause you had to.
Yeah.
Did that factory job get you in with the crew, the Calvary surfer crew? Did that give you the clout?
At that point, like I left out a little part. So when my brother graduated, he left Calvary, and I made the decision to go to public school. So I went to Lakewood High School, and that was a huge change because I didn't have at that point I was into music. I dressed differently, and I didn't really fit in. Didn't really have any good friends at Calvary. So I went to Lakewood High School, and like all be in the drum line, do all this stuff, and it was like the biggest shocker of my life because I went from like an all Caucasian school to a very multicultural school, and I had like 4 friends that were like within my echelon of what I did and who I identified with, because back then it was a little different. Like it was like being in prison. Like it was like you go through metal detectors. There's cops there. Like
Whoa.
and yeah,
Lakewood was like that.
yeah, it was not a lot of shootings there previously before I went there, and I'm just like, this is cool because I'm with my friends I grew up with, but it's lame because I feel dumb. Yeah, like so like yeah. Anyways, that was a little side step on all that. So back to JC, like so that was why I didn't hang out with like or identify with people from Calvary on the surf team or something. So but now I'm able to get boards. I'm able to like spray paint boards. I'm able to do whatever. And
Do you start surfing Newport too?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's as best I could.
Yeah.
But I actually moved to Newport at that time. I moved in with Josh Boyer.
Nice.
What?
How did you guys meet?
Through JC.
Yeah.
He was looking for a new sponsor. I think he was with Pesh before that, and he came in, and we're actually still good friends. But we lived together on 28th Street, like pretty much like five doors down from the coast. And
Wow.
We paid nothing for the place. So it was,
How old were you then?
I had to be like 20 to 21 at that point.
So what was your stint at JC like?
Worked there a year or two?
No, it was a long time. So, dude, there's a lot of gaps to fill in. So I started working there. I think I was 18, and then by the time I was like, I think 19 or 20, that's when I really went to go find myself. And I took a hiatus from JC, and I moved to Hawaii, and started traveling for almost a year.
Just to
Year
surf,
or
find your way.
surf, surf. Like I got a full quiver from John. Like all the same airbrush. Like I thought I was like the coolest kid, but like still didn't rip or like I was terrible.
Yeah.
And
Well, I keep spraying and seeing all these boards go to Hawaii, quivers of like the same because that's what a pro surfer
yeah,
do. They would order
yeah.
So
Like,
you're
I'm like, oh,
you're like that's what you do. You order
Yeah.
a couple short boards, a couple step ups.
Yeah,
all look
exactly,
The
yeah.
same. Yeah.
now it's like you can actually ride like 1 or 2 boards and be fine.
So
But back,
how did you finance this move and travel?
back then everything was cheap. Like I saved up money, but at the
When
same-
mouth to feed, that was probably really cheap to feed. You know, like
dude, I think so. After I was in Hawaii, I was in Paia, like flew like almost like a round the world ticket, and it was like $700.
Wow.
Like, we went from you guys went from Maui to Japan to Bangkok, and then Denpasar, and we were in Indonesia for 2 months, like the full 72-day visa, like the longest we could go, and we went and did it like living $2 a day.
Beautiful.
$2. And fortunately for me at that point in time in this story, like don't change all your money for this part of the trip. And I'm like why? Like money values change. I'm like, so I changed like $100, and the rupiah went from 17,000 to 6,000 the day later.
Oh my
So I was
God.
like rich. Like so I had like 10 times more money than everybody. And like they didn't change the menu prices. Like this is like pre the Bali bombing. This is pre 9/11. This is
Yeah.
so
So this is like late 90s?
no. This is like early, like 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like 2000. And this is like my second intro into like surf travel. This is when I'm like, I'm a surfer. I have my quiver, and I'm living in Hawaii. I'm going to Indonesia.
The bucket list.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
No,
looking at
literally, yeah.
magazines, you know where everybody travels, you see
So-
all the videos, you're like,
You moved to Hawaii first, and then
Yeah.
you went around the world.
And then me and some guys, we traveled.
And when you moved to Hawaii, you were on Maui?
Yeah,
That's where you lived?
yeah.
And how long did you live on Maui?
I think at that point it was like 8 months or something.
Yeah.
And then we
Well,
Paia.
okay.
Right near Jaws, like
Yeah.
Turtle, like Cove or something.
And what were you doing for work? JC?
No, I saved up money, like I was actually studying. I was studying the Bible at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were on like a
mission.
sabbatical.
I was trying to find myself. Like I started the conversation with
Huh.
yeah, I saved up money, trying to find.
And your
myself.
parents were cool with it? Like,
Oh yeah, if I'm studying the Bible, they're super cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a front? Or were you
No, like it was like a kind of a mission.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't like not Mormon or like it was like this is an opportunity. I'm like, cool. It's gonna help me grow. It's gonna help me do this, and
Help you find your path. And
yeah.
Who were you? Who did you travel with? Your group of guys that you traveled with.
The close friends. There's a guy named Mike. Like there's a handful of people, but the people that put this thing together is called YWAM. It's called Youth with a Mission. So like still trying to find myself. So Youth with a Mission,
Yeah.
like when they split you up and you go out and do your thing, and like so we came up with this idea like hey, we need to surf and let's do an extended outreach. And so that's when we did 2 months. Like it's supposed to be like a 45-day like thing where you're like ministering to people and doing whatever. Like let's make this as best as possible. So we spent the full 72 days in Indonesia, and then after that we went to Thailand. While we were in Thailand is when the Tamil Tigers blew up multiple aircrafts on the runway in Sri Lanka. So we're going to Sri Lanka.
These
No,
are like extremists.
Yeah, it's like there's a full. So
What were they called?
The Tamil Tigers. And then there's the Tamils and the Sinhalese. They're at war with each other for years and years. So we get stuck in Thailand. Then we finally get over to Colombo, and then we get stuck there. And they're like, you can't go anywhere. Like you guys are under house arrest, pretty much. You know, like, no, we're
all foreigners or like,
yeah, we're all foreigners. So
but,
it's
no,
like-
but like they did that with not just your group, but like
well, we barely got in there, like because after the terrorist attack, nobody remembers this particular terrorist attack because 9/11 overshadowed it. So, anyways, we're like we got to get out of here. So the best way we could get across the island, we found the hashish dealer, and
back road.
yeah. So this guy had the most bitchin' van, like the lights, like the dangly stuff, like coolest music, and every checkpoint, because there's like 1,000 checkpoints, like military checkpoints, and we're going through it, it's just like,
Pay off.
here's your thing, they give them money, and like, so we finally get to Argon Bay, which,
You would have never made it if you weren't with this guy.
yeah, never. But we're already gonna be there for a month, I'm like, we can't stay in a hotel room, like, we can't afford that.
Yeah.
So I get to Argon Bay and learned that it was the best right point break that I've ever
In where?
in Sri Lanka.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Argon Bay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that there's amazing waves in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, amazing waves. Like, unbelievable. It's the hottest place.
So you drove from Thailand to Sri Lanka?
No, so we flew from Thailand to Colombo. Colombo's the capital of Sri Lanka, and then we got house arrest, and we're like, we're gonna get out of here. We gotta figure this out. And then, so then we got the driver guy, and then we went through. It was a long drive.
Yeah.
Like we're saying, like 16 hours or something.
You had your boards and.
Oh yeah, we had
All your
we had
stuff.
like it looked, yeah, it was
And did you know that?
like a temple. Like
Did you know that Argon Bay was in Sri Lanka? Like,
yeah.
okay.
No, we had all these insider tips at the time, and then we get there, like scored epic waves, at the greatest time, and then our next destination was the Maldives. So we get back to Colombo, and we fly to Mali, and then we go to I can't remember the name of the island, but it was like motorboat, gets this tiny atoll, and get there. We stayed in the servants' quarters because that's the only thing we could afford. It was the same thing, it was like $2 a day, but they gave us rainwater, which is free water. A bottle of water there at the time was $5,
Dang.
which now it's probably $20. You know, like, so we stayed in the servants' quarters, all of us.
In the Maldives.
But we had a tip from somebody that there's a break off this particular toll that we're staying at, and it was right-hander, like just
Not too far from you guys.
no, like straight off the island.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
You could walk to it. Like so we, and nobody's ever surfed. Like so there's nobody there. It's not a tourist destination, and
And back then, the Maldives wasn't.
it wasn't on the map.
It wasn't on the map like
yeah.
it is now for
Yeah.
the oligarchy that goes out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the Caribbean for the Asian,
Yeah.
you know,
For the
yeah.
whole like.
Europe and Asia.
Yeah.
It's
Before that, it was like nobody really heard of it, like except for In God's Hands. Was that?
Shaking Dorian.
Wasn't it in it, or was that
I
the
don't know.
Seychelles?
I don't know.
But I remember this dude, Mabo, Japanese business surfer shaper guy. He would,
Talk
buy
about
stuff from us when I worked at HSS,
Mhm.
and he would always talk about Sri Lanka, and the Maldives would pop up too. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, what are these places? What are you talking about? And you show me pictures. I'm like,
It's not even on the map. It's like a piece of dust. It's like so yeah. So anyways,
You guys score waves.
we scored like every day. Like, there's waves every day. We got to find like even like submerged atolls that would like
Change with the tides.
break during
Yeah.
certain tides and like whatever. Like it was super rad. We were there. Our planned time to be there was 30 days, which was our visa. And during that time, 9/11 happened.
Wow.
So you got stuck.
So we got stuck, and like there was no cell phones, there was no pager. Well, there was probably pagers, but like there was no phone on the entire island that we were on, and we were also like teaching English on the side, which like an island next door.
are you making money doing that too?
No, this was like
part of
food
it.
and
Yeah,
accommodations.
this was like ministry stuff. So, but yeah, just getting back, I think it took like 2 months to get home
Yeah.
from there because we had
Not that you were in a hurry.
No, it was definitely not. So I go back from the Maldives to Sri Lanka, got stuck there, then back to Thailand, then back to Japan, and then finally back to Maui. And my folks met me there, and
Your parents did?
my parents, yeah, because there's no communication.
Yeah.
Like it was.
How long was that whole trip?
I think I think it all encompassing is probably like a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
So you
long.
hadn't seen your parents for a year.
Yeah.
Were you writing? Were you writing? Or
I was-
just making a call every once in a while, postcard?
I was postcarding, but then you get to the point where it's like, okay, the whole world is turned upside down. So
Yeah.
it's like you're trying to call
Yeah.
and
How scared were you about 9/11? Like, was that a trip? Like,
Being out of the country, like
and like, you have no communication. You're like sitting there,
yeah.
It probably, you hear it in a foreign language and you're like watching maybe somebody's TV and
Yeah, well, yeah, they actually like shipped in a TV to show like the footage, and it's like, yeah, it was like devastating. Like, oh, is this real? But I've been gone so long already. Like,
Yeah.
Like, oh, is it real?
Yeah.
And so that was always, that still echoes in my mind, but like it was definitely like at that point in time in my life, it was gave me fear a little bit.
Yeah.
But that was so just to keep this thing rolling. That was the stepping off point of the rest of my life. Was that trip, and then I met a group of guys. After that, I went back to JC, back to like the boring life. You know, like oh, I'm back to the grind. And I met these group of guys during that were about to go to Yemen, and I want to go. Like, do you do photography? Like, so I got into photography before that, but like, do you do photography?
On your trip, you got into photography?
I started shooting when I was like
Traveling?
Yeah, after that I started taking like black and white classes. It was, at that time it was all film.
Yeah.
Like there was digital, but like so I got super into film and
Developing it.
yeah, I developed everything myself. Like, I don't really have anything in here. But like that became like a desire and passion. Like, oh, this is another access to something else, and I can also surf and do this.
Yeah.
I can go places. So
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
more
who-
valuable to, you know,
So
all
this
kinds of different things.
yeah.
this Yemen trip, is it Chaz Smith that is part of that trip?
Yeah, he was part of it.
Okay. How many dudes? Like,
At that point, it was. I'm just gonna say the first is Josh, Nate, and Charlie.
and who?
I was
Well-
on that trip, but
Was that?
I wasn't on that particular trip.
Okay.
That's when I was.
That was their first mission.
That was when they were like starting to get into it. Yeah.
Okay. And then how did you get involved?
They could get anybody to go with them.
To document it.
Yeah, 'cause it's just dangerous. Yeah.
So how did you reach
I
out?
was working with JC still, and Barry Vandermillen was like up the street pretty much. We were glassing all his boards, and he donated like a board or two to Chaz, or I don't know who. And I'm like, can I go? Like, I can take pictures. Like, I like adventure. Like, I was
Yeah.
just like
What was the
frothing.
purpose of the trip?
Of that first one.
Of the one that you're going on?
So the one that I was, so they're going to Yemen. So I plant the seed, and then the next time they come back, they're doing the same thing, or doing something different, and I'm like, we need a photographer. Like, we don't have anybody to document this, and we're going to be doing something different and cool and challenging. Like, I'm like,
Dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in. Like, I'm down. Like, I'm like, I've been to Morocco. I've been to Indonesia. I've been, like,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Like, trying to, like, make myself look good. And, so long story short, like, we're all meeting downtown LA. And, like,
Can you describe what Yemen, what the climate was in Yemen, and why it's dangerous, and why they were doing it? What did they want to document and accomplish with? Were they going to write a story for a magazine? And
I think the biggest draw for all of us was that it's unattainable. It's like the unicorn, you know? Nobody can get in there. You have to get invited to get in there. It is super dangerous. The climate was civil war. There's a lot of different sects doing things at certain times. Like, I think AQAP was later, but there was a lot of terrorist activity. There's a lot of blame from the U.S. government on how dangerous it is, but also ultimately, like, it's on the, like, pretty much like on the crown, or whatever you want to call it, of Arabia, which is the entrance, the gateway into the Red Sea, and it's one of the most like ancient trade
waterways.
and trade ports And so there's a lot of historical things that are impossible to like to look at, to discover, because you can't get there. Like it's just like
It's hostile. It's
just
seedy,
inaccessible.
but yet
we're
you
just
know,
like, let's go, let's figure it out.
yeah.
And there's pirates, right? Like
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Somalian.
that's down there.
Okay.
Are they?
So we're going on.
Are you bringing?
like a 3-hour podcast?
Are you
Yeah.
bringing boards to surf anywhere, or is this strictly just?
No, we brought boards.
Yeah.
So this is like, so now like I'm more in like a secular, as it were, like point of view within my travels, and I'm linking up with this new friend circle that have the same ideals as me, like want to become Indiana Jones, or
Yeah.
no, just do cool stuff and like go places that nobody else can go. And so anyways, like
Swashbuckler.
so I met him through the Yemen trip, but I didn't go to Yemen on that trip. It was them getting surfboards, but then we reunited, and I get connected. And we're like, yeah, we're doing this trip. I'm like, cool, man. And the trip was Somalia.
Wow.
I'm like, wait, I thought we were going like some.
Was their
somewhere.
Yemen trip successful? Meaning, like,
Oh yeah,
they went there. And,
yeah, they discovered, they saw, there's waves.
yeah.
It's a rad place, but like, so I signed myself up for Somalia, and
And what was the purpose of this trip?
discovered it's just like
Okay.
is inaccessible. Same thing, like
Does any of that group speak any sort of the local language?
not in Somalia, but there is dialects of probably Arabic in that region. But during that trip, we had to have different people within like tribes, because every part of the country is different tribes. It's
Yeah.
broken up into like multiple states. Like it's the place is messed up. Like so anyways.
Chaperone / security guard / tour guide / like
Yeah,
bodyguard /
there's no tour guides.
But you know what I mean, like however you encompass that person to
Yeah.
show you around, protect you.
A greaser.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, so that-
you got US dollars in your pocket. You're, yeah, you're. you
So
get lucky.
anyways, like so we go to Dubai. We've been going, previous to this trip, we've been going to Dubai a lot. At that time, it was like 5 buildings. Like it was a small city-state type of thing, and
You had already gone to Dubai.
yeah,
And what was that? Why?
same thing. Middle East travel. So it's like a good hub where it's
Central, but yeah,
it's
safe.
central, but yeah, it's untraceable.
Yeah.
At the time. So we'd fly to Moscow, and then you'd get a different airline like Aeroflot or something, and then you'd fly from Moscow to Dubai, and you just make it so when you get back to the US, you're like gonna get interrogated or something.
Yeah.
So we had our methods, our plans, like whatever, but like so anyways, we spent a couple weeks in Dubai trying to like negotiate getting into Somalia, and the only two functioning things in Somalia were telecom and like cigarettes. So we found the two people that imported those things. Like it's not like a big drinking culture because
Yeah.
it's mostly Muslim. And so anyways, like get a hold of those people. We go to Ethiopia, we go to Addis Ababa, like, and then we get on like a Russian cargo plane, fly to Deir al-Dawa, which is like a refugee camp, like the scariest thing. Like it's still like, I was telling my kids about it the other night. It's heavy.
Yeah.
And so you go there, and then like you get on another Russian cargo plane, and like all the stuff in the cargo bay is like U.S. aid drop. It's like, and they're like literally, they either like landed on the tarmac or a dust strip, or they throw it out of a parachute, like, and drop it to like indigenous people in that area to feed them.
Wow.
So anyways, we get in, and
And you're traveling with a surfboard bag.
yeah, that was from On a Mission. It was from On a Mission. It was camouflage, which didn't work out very well.
Like just the travel with a board to places that are easy to get around to, let alone like you were hop skipping around.
People are tripping.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, what are you at in there? Dead body? What are you smuggling?
Yeah.
Guns? Like,
No,
like,
Why are you
They always
coming
thought
here
it was
for?
guns.
yeah, guns. For
Why are you
sure.
coming here for a surf trip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna get yourself killed.
Yeah.
But that was when, like back then, that was when Surfline was kind of like testing out Lola, where it's like super easily accessible, where you can actually see where storm systems are coming in, and so
Yeah.
like dude, there's gonna be surf. Like there's always surf in the Indian Ocean. It's just not predictable. So
So that time of year, we're gonna.
yeah, so we went that that particular time of year, but like during that time, we were embedded for like at least. It was a long time, longer than any of us wanted to be there.
You guys are crazy fucking like thrill seekers
Yeah,
because
Cool.
you're flying on Russian planes.
yeah. Well,
At any time they could just say, you know what, fuck these guys.
Did you-
No one's gonna,
Did you guys take like
right?
appropriate shots? Did you go get your like hepatitis or any sort of like
no.
precautions?
We didn't.
Did you bring medication with you in case you got
We did.
sick?
We'd have things that were emergency use only.
Yeah.
Which could be if you really get injured, if you really get harmed. Like I don't think certain things are going to prevent you from getting.
No, but I mean, I
disease.
think like, you know, picking up a parasite's pretty common. Drinking,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, like getting,
Yeah.
you know, infection, but also like if you get cut, you got a little stitch,
Yeah.
you first.
So I got a good story about that. So we're in Somalia. We go to the oasis outside of Bosaso, or Berbera, and so we go in when they just wanted to show us their oasis, and it looks like Jesus thorns, like you know, like the crown of thorns, like the largest, most craziest thorns I've ever seen in my life, and they're all around this oasis. And it's the one time I don't ever wear sandals. I was wearing sandals. I was wearing rainbow sandals, and we're just tromping around. Like they're showing us like where the water comes out of the aquifer, and like.
How rad.
And somehow, like, my big thumb toe steps on one of these Jesus thorns that are harder than nails. Like, you could literally hammer them in. And it goes out, like, right to the side of my bone, like, and hits the nail. Like, and it's like, almost puke. You
From
know?
the
Yeah.
bottom of your toe
right
to
through
the nail.
right through the ring.
And hits the top of your tip.
And then it hits that, and like, I'm just like, yeah, you have that, like, instinctual reflex where you're just like, oh, like I'm in trouble because I'm in Somalia, and I have slide pictures of these. Back then we get them printed on slides, but one of our guides like just lights up a cigarette, the camera on, just sort of took the cigarette, and like gets it super hot, like big old like cherry on it, and then he's like, give me some water, like washes it off and just sticks it right in there. And just like,
In your toe?
yeah, right.
On the bottom of your toe?
Yeah, and like
Yeah, seal it up and keep it from getting infected.
And I could, after that, I was 100% fine. The whole trip.
That's what they did.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
it was
they
sick. And like we on that trip.
Did you
too,
hesitate? You go, no, okay, that's it.
There's no, like, you can't hesitate. You can't tell them.
It's like rubbing lime on your freaking refresh, bro.
Yeah, but this is a cigarette
Yeah.
in Somalia.
Yeah. We also, on that trip too, like we were eating like camel and
Yeah, so the
weird-
food,
weird stuff.
Yeah.
again, you gotta have a tough stomach and be willing to try anything because you don't know what you're gonna get. Did you travel? Did you have any? I know certain people had particulars. Like I would travel with peanut butter because a lot of times peanut butter wasn't like easy to find everywhere. Like
No,
you travel-
that's where I learned to not travel with particulars.
Really?
Yeah, because because that was kind of like the step off trip, right? So like that's what kind of taught me like no matter what, like
Expect the unexpected.
and
Roll
just,
with the flow.
and deal with it. Like there's one time on that trip too, like it was me and my wife joke about it, but it was the most horrifying thing. We're all like literally starving, and we get to this little village of probably like 20 people, like super small. We're all in our Helix 4x4 Toyota Tacoma things, and they bring us like goat's milk that's been heated on a wood fire, whatever, and it has like this, like an inch of sugar in it for whoever can't see this, and you take a sip and it just tastes like firewood, and you want to vomit, and it's like no, like it's full like Anthony Bourdain, like I'm just gonna do it. I'm like, thank God it wasn't blood or something.
Yeah.
Like you drink it and you're just like, I'm not starving anymore.
So is it
Like,
smoky sweet milk or
no,
they
it's smoky because they try to boil it to like get out the like
Impurities.
impurities, but like not really pasteurizing it. Not that that matters, but like the whole experience, we're just like, okay, and like we're sitting on like a flat of canned tuna that we brought, and like I'm going back to the canned tuna.
Yeah.
So how were you guys traveling through Somalia? By truck? By car?
Two trucks. So there are two Toyota, what we'd call like a 4-door Toyota Tacoma.
Yeah.
Like it was a quad cab. They didn't really introduce that model to the U.S. until like way later, but it was the super sturdy stick shift, 6-foot bed.
You're just hiring drivers and guys.
Yeah, but we had, like all the people that were with us were from a different tribe or a different like tongue or language that can help us get through like different parts of the country.
Yeah.
And how did you keep your like supplies and your money like without getting robbed? Like where did you guys hide money and like
In the prison wall.
prison or bunghole? Bunghole?
No, it was, yeah, we were definitely always smart about how we dealt with that.
Yeah.
But
And were you surfing or what was?
we did surf, like, we surfed Ras Hafun, Berbera, and Galkayo. Like, they're all like near Galkayo.
Sand points or beach break? Or
They're like they're like bays. Like a lot of them were that actually were they were rocky, but a lot of sand. But like the one that stood out to me, I think I can't remember what we called it, but it was like Shark Tooth or something stupid. But it was like a huge bay, and it would just break in the middle, and it'd just be a peak that
kind of fill it out.
broke down the middle. Yeah, it was.
Get good waves like.
It was good. It wasn't like epic. It wasn't
Yeah.
like barreling, like crushing waves. But
So you're like, your handlers, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
are driving you around. You're telling them you're surfers, and you're finally like they're probably like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah.
You know? And you finally get to the beach and surf in front of them. Were they tripping? Were like people on the beach like, look at these guys? They're like riding waves. Like they've probably never seen that before, right?
yeah, they're tripping for sure. Like the one place that we actually probably got the best waves, we found out was their shark harvesting area.
No
Holy
way.
shit.
Yeah, but we didn't know that. Like me and one other guy paddled out. Chaz was already gone at this point. He went back to the US. So it's me and my buddy Josh. And so I paddled out first. I'm like, there's waves out there. And it was like 2 football fields to get out there. Look close.
And this is the Red Sea,
That would be the Indian Ocean.
Indian Ocean.
Yeah. And I'm like, I caught a wave. Like, caught a wave. And then he comes out and he's like, I saw a shadow. I'm like, what do you mean you saw a shadow? Like, what? He's like, there's sharks out here. I'm like, yeah, there's sharks out here. Did you see the beach? And the whole beach is like where they have all the sharks' heads like cut off and they're drying out the meat.
Mm.
So like there's just blood going into the water. Like, nothing happened, but
Sketchy.
anyway, so
You knew it though.
yeah. So that was the intro to what we call Black Box. And-
Travel.
Well, yeah, we just call our group Black Box. But like that was like the first trip, and after that, there's a lot of other trips that came down the pike. But yeah, the only reason I'm actually able to articulate this a little bit, I'm actually working on a book right now
Epic.
that will work through kind of like all these scenarios and have photo
Awesome.
documentary of it.
Good for you. So don't give it away entirely.
Yeah.
Save some of those stories for the
No,
book.
no, yeah.
You heard it here at Late Night with Chalky
Black
first.
Box Diaries,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Well, yeah, I'll have a different name, but
Yeah.
I can't release the name right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So-
Anybody helping you write? Do you have a like
What was just? I mean, you said there's more trips after that,
Oh yeah, there's tons of trips. Like
And-
that was just the intro trip.
and
The other-
what was the goal of these trips besides surfing waves? Like, was it to document and then someday do what you're doing now? Like,
That's a big part of it is documenting it.
Pioneering.
But it's at that point in time in our like history, like we that's when I had the accessibility. Like I didn't have that before. So all of a sudden when I got the keys, like I'm like I want to go.
Yeah.
I want to go everywhere. I want to do anything I can do. I want to learn. I want to be there. Like,
yeah.
And so that
But
was
there,
my point.
there are other ways of doing what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I don't want to just.
Those are life-threatening ways.
Yeah, but
of doing it.
that's the thrill. That's the thrill of it, right? Like.
But that's why I'm saying, what was the goal of it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just
Survive and go see cool places and catch a wave nobody else got away at.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, also like it to not trace it all the way back to surfing. It's like
Spiritual.
It's accomplishing.
Mm.
Like it's just like it's doing and checking like points and times in your life where you're like, oh, what's actually gonna thrill me? What's actually gonna make me move, jive, do something cool and different?
Yeah.
And so like that's what we would dream up. Like what is something that is cool and different that
Well, you're talking about things that someone would want to do but would never do.
yeah.
And
That
honestly,
would be cool. That sounds awesome, but you
how many
never had the balls. to
How
do it.
many
Yeah.
other people have done what you've done? Probably.
Zero. I don't think.
Probably nobody else, right?
That's, yeah.
So how long these trips be? A couple months.
Some of them, yeah.
And then
like
so
this
you-
is this is just the intro trip. Like
But you would come home, work your guy's ass off,
Yeah.
and then plan another trip like the next year during that time frame.
yeah, I'd be working on the first CNC machine in Costa Mesa, cutting out boards for everybody, and then hot coating boards on the side, and then going to night school at OCC, learning how to develop black and white photography, and then like the second that opportunity opened up, because when you're doing like piecework, like back
You could hustle in.
yeah, like if like you could be doing 20 to 30 boards a night, and you're getting eight
Per board.
to $12 a board, and if you're really good, you could like I'm working this amount of hours, and I'm making more than a college grad. Like that was in my mind as
Yeah.
a 21-year-old, like, and then
Yeah, you honed your craft, and you knew like you're getting paid not by the hour, but by the amount of work
yeah.
and the quality of work.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's like, I'm trying to teach my kids. It's like
Find something.
number one, you got to
really good at it.
but you got to do something first.
You gotta.
and then you get really good at it, and then find something else and get really good at that.
Yeah.
Find something
Were
else.
you guys keeping this really low key? Because I'm sure people are like, you start coming back and chattering it up with all the bros. Everybody's
Yeah,
gonna be
it's-
like, I want to
We
get in.
did, like I think it was, I don't know what year it was, but it was a yellow Surfer's Journal where we did the Somalia. I got a weird version of it in Surfer's Journal. It was yellow.
Like
That's all I remember.
Like
it was a 10
like a variation of what really went down. Or were you
it was
guys
most
pretty
of it,
on-
most of it was pretty realistic.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Like
'Cause-
95% of it.
Because Chaz Smith
Mm-hmm.
is one of your friends that you
Teach
was
homeschool.
traveling with, right? And he's a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote stories on these trips, or not?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where is it like, without getting in all the trips, like where, like name some of the other like locations you guys went to after learning how to get through the channels of Russia to,
Yeah. So that I think,
Abu Dhabi,
yeah. All right, Dubai.
Dubai.
Yeah, so the next trip would have been, I think it was Beirut, and it was during the Harari assassination. Like it was like super steep times. Like our buddy Nate was going to the University of Beirut, the American University of Beirut, and so like he was there like doing all his masters or PhD. I don't know what he's working on. But we like stayed with him in his flat in the Hezbollah neighborhood. well, like literally machine guns are going off and like bombs, like it was. So that was kind of like the next step, and then we actually snowboarded. I don't know the exact name of the
Resort Mountain?
no, it's not even, I don't even think it's a resort there, but
Take a truck
it was
out.
like the Yenta Lebanon range or something. It's in Lebanon, but we snowboarded there like.
And do they have
and
lifts,
I
or
didn't-
do they drive up
They
and
have
drop
lifts,
off?
yeah. They
Wow.
actually have like lifts, but
Epic.
like at that point in time in my life, I'm like, I didn't even know that there was snow in Lebanon.
Yeah.
And then the next trip we went back there, and then we went to Syria and explored Damascus and like a couple other places that were
shit.
like kind of cool before
Before it got really
yeah.
gnarly.
And I think I was in Damascus, crossing the border from Damascus back to Lebanon on my 25th birthday. Like, so that was like a memorable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I know that happened, like on the exact date. And then we did a lot of stuff in Saida, which is Sidon, and like all up and down the coast of Lebanon. And then after that, we did
Is there waves on the coast of Lebanon?
yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, I actually have pictures of Chaz. I have a
Nice.
picture of him pulling into it. It used to be on my wall in my house, but it's in the attic now. And
Okay.
then, yeah, so go ahead.
So, you guys just kept pushing the envelope of dangerous surf travel. And you're kind of financing these trips by working in the surf industry, going to school, and then what was your next step in this industry?
So,
Oh, before we go into that,
I'm gonna have
the
another
last time I was
Villager
here,
Spirits.
you had talked about getting a boat for free.
oh, that's like 10 years later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. But go ahead and tell us about that, because I find that super
The
fucking.
boat part, or just the next steps in the industry, or
Let's go to the next steps of the industry.
so the next steps in the
But
industry.
remind me
Yeah.
yourself to talk about that.
Okay, so the next steps in the industry would have been during that time doing all this stuff with Black Box and I don't know how it came about. Okay, so my brother, who's a way better musician than me.
Wow.
He's,
It's in the family genes, huh?
yeah, so he's a guitar player. He's a really good drummer. He plays bass like madman. Like super proud of him. Like he's in a band with Ryan Hurley, and he's like, hey, you should. And I think he was playing drums at the time. He's like, hey, like you should play drums in this band. Like, and I think this is 2004, so it's the same time as Smalley, like around it, and so like that's how I finally really connected with Ryan Hurley.
2004.
Yeah, like as like more of a friendship, and like we went to high school together type of thing, and so during that time we played a ton of music together.
What was the band called?
Bob's Office.
Really?
You know why?
Because that's where you play.
That's where. Yeah.
When Bob left, you turned it into the studio?
Yeah, it was called Studio Office.
No.
No,
was
and Bob.
Hurley around already?
Yeah, that was. Well, we're into
2000, 2005.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2004, 2005. So it was called Bob's Office, and my brother had already kicked me out of like the other bands I was in with him. Like, whatever. I'm still like a developing musician, so a lot of things didn't work out.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why are you playing this band?" I'm like, this band sucks. Like, well, I'll give it a shot.
So you got kicked out of Bob's office.
No, I got kicked out of my brother's band. And he's like, "Why don't you play with this band?" I'm like
What was your brother's band called?
didn't go anywhere. So like, I have no idea. But I was never as good as a metronome.
Did you guys travel with any instrument? I mean, obviously not drums that you play, but did you play anything else like while you traveled?
Like the kazoo or something?
Did you play the guitar? Like
Yeah.
usually, if you're
I don't play. Yeah,
you're musically inclined, you,
Yeah, I could.
you know.
I could play GCD like on the guitar. Yeah, that's.
But it just seems, you know, like
I can play. I can.
Well, travel.
I can terribly play guitar, but definitely like drums is my instrument. But so anyways, I got introduced to this band through my brother. He was playing drums, and he's like, why don't you play the drums and I'll play guitar? And so I played drums in the band with Ryan Hurley and a bunch of other friends that we went to high school with, and like down that path. This is like in sequence with traveling. Like Greg Teal, who's another like great friend of mine.
Who handled music for
He was,
early.
but at that time he was doing the Warped Tour.
Okay.
So that was before he was like fully into like the early music scene. So like we were young kids, like when in 2004, like 22 or something, and we had this band. He's like, I'm gonna put you guys on the main stage. You know, what? Like,
For the Warped Tour.
Yeah, Warped Tour.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
And that was when the whole Warped Tour was like big.
big.
And so we're a bunch of like dumb kids that like are trying to we all knew how to play, but like we're just like
You weren't polished. You didn't have your set.
No,
You're
yeah.
just like out there.
yeah, it wasn't like Metallica doing this. But like so we're out there, and I just found the photos recently too. It was amazing. But like Greg Teal, it says Teal Stage, which is Greg Teal Stage, and like there's I don't know like thousands of kids out there that have no idea who we are, and it all worked out. But like the funny thing about like that confidence booster of playing in front of a ton of people was like the next band was Rancid, like which was like
Jeez.
super like they.
What were you called?
It was either still Bob's Office or it was called Brass Knuckle Lane. I don't remember who we were at that time.
Stuck Light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then post that, we actually went to Russia and did some shows there.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, it's super weird, but we actually went there and played 5 shows in Russia.
Like punk rock shows with
There was
with
yeah,
other
it
bands.
was just like it was
A mini
Yes.
Warped Tour.
yeah, it was super small, but it was like at the same time it was all at the same place, same venue. First night there was 100 people. Second night there's 500 people. Third night there's like 1,000 people. Like
And you look
because at that time like they were just starving for music.
underground, like
Yeah. And we got in there because my dad, like he's doing ministry there,
and you linked up with a music promoter or
Yeah.
like a concert
and
dude.
it was all word of mouth too. Like all the kids were like, have you checked out this band Him? Like,
Dang.
yeah, we've heard of Him. Like Him's like
Yeah.
a weird like
Bam,
yeah.
Bam's
Bam
Margaritas.
Margera,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's epic. So, like, you're singing in English, and they probably barely know.
They just like
It's like the
music.
sounds. I mean, that's typically how.
And you guys are playing punk.
yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
pretty punk.
So
Yeah.
Warped Tour, traveling Russia, like is music now becoming like a thing to where you think that could be your livelihood, or is it just still fun, like a side deal?
I thought it was gonna be my livelihood, and during that time was when I was kind of making my own clothes and like trying to have my own look. I've been trying to do that
The whole time.
the whole time since I was whatever age. And Ryan Hurley was just like, hey, would you ever want to like apply that to apparel, like what you're doing with? I was doing art too, and I'm like, yeah, what do you mean by that? And I was like maybe we can give you a job opportunity here at Hurley.
So hold on. All your life you're making your own clothes. Like what
Well,
do you,
not like cutting.
Customizing yourself. Yeah.
Customizing, yeah.
like what would you go to the thrift shop and
Yeah, but like I
stencil?
well, yeah, not like full like Schroff style, but like bleaching out your clothes and doing like certain things like.
Yeah.
Were you a thrift shop like goer? Like were you
I,
always?
I was a little bit, but like not that much. I'm an everyday guy.
Yeah.
Like wearing
Yeah, you wanna-
same
yeah.
stuff a lot.
Work
But like back then, it's just like
grungy workwear.
your key items are your Converse and your studded belt and your tight jeans back then.
Yeah.
So like,
What caught Ryan's attention? Like, did he go, dude, this is a fucking dope jacket? Or, you know what I mean?
yeah, I think it was just like a consistent flow of different like things he saw like within what I was doing, like from art to like whatever. Like
You had an eye.
I think that's how it just because I was just like, what? Like
Yeah.
like what do you mean? And I came into Hurley at that time. I don't know how that was, but like we are going to pay you $20,000 a year. I was like, sweet.
So just to bring in ideas and
I don't know, yeah.
So you're
It was
freelance,
something
more,
like
more
that.
about like not a full-time position, but like a freelance job.
No, it was like a full-time position,
wow.
but like back, like this is,
2003, 4.
yeah, it's like 20 years ago. Like, so, like, I remember the days where I was hiring interns for 60 grand. So, but yeah, this is, I'm like, oh, that sounds rad, like 20 grand? And then that,
What's the vacation? How much vacation do I get?
yeah, how many 6 days do I get?
Yeah.
So Ryan-
I need to add this up because I'm out of here.
Yeah.
for 2 months.
Ryan comes up to you and tells you this idea. Did you have to interview with like somebody in production? Like who he's, you know what I mean? Like, did he say, "Hey, come talk to my dad"? Come talk to Dwight.
No. So I interviewed with the design director at the time. I think her name was Jen Co. And I just showed her stuff I was working on, like just mostly t-shirts. Like, hey, that was back when stuff stood out a little bit differently.
Yeah.
We're doing-
But you don't know like how to make a tech pack or
No,
like you
but
were
I
just
did,
free
but I
hand.
did full crash course Illustrator, like that's my college. Like I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna learn how to do it, and then I had a lot of great mentors through that too. Like,
Yeah.
just people like helping me, show me the ropes, and at that time it was really confusing. Like well, there's just so much stuff going on, but like down the road, like cool, that's how you make stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's the blueprint. That's
Because what you're describing is so different that probably never ever happens that way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're friends with the owner's son, right? Bob Hurley's son is Ryan Hurley, and he was liking what you were doing, and all of a sudden you got a job, right? Making a decent amount at the time. You're probably making more of that when you're doing piecework,
I was
but
doing way more than that.
Yeah.
It's probably tripling.
but what a cool intro and easy access to the business.
Yeah.
You know? Like you got fast tracked into a position, bottom level, but still something that you have no fucking training in or experience in.
Yeah.
But because of your relationship and your eye for style, they were like, yeah. Let's put them on salad.
Yeah. No, that's good. I always think about that. It's like that's. I'm very grateful for that too. Like I didn't deserve it. I don't deserve anything.
Yeah. Well, you obviously stepped up to the plate because you were there 14
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
what was the next steps?
Next steps were just figuring it out. Like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But what were you
Literally.
designing? T-shirts or
No, it was actually like I got thrown into the bottoms category, so like pants, shorts, blah blah blah, and I'm like following up on like a massive, huge Nike layoff of a crap ton of people.
So they're already owned by Nike.
Yeah, they're already because Nike I think acquired them in 2002 or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
2002.
Yeah.
Pretty much 2 years after they fucking
Under
launched.
3, over,
Yeah.
between 2 and 3 years.
So
Crazy.
Nike did a layoff. You came in after. You got put in the bottoms category. When you get put in,
Yeah,
like,
shorts, yeah.
what are you doing, like designing trunks coming up, silhouettes? Like, are you going shopping the market and bringing back product? You know what I mean? Like, how are you designing? Like, ripping off other ideas, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's all part of design, right?
No, yeah, it's
And getting inspiration from other.
Yeah.
They call
Yeah.
it inspiration.
Yeah. Ripping
Yeah,
off.
rip it
other-
off. We're getting inspired by no, but
So-
yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people above you
Yeah.
in your in the design area, and you're probably facilitating some of their grunt work, some of their
Yeah.
stuff that they don't want to do, some stuff that ultimately is going to help you learn business.
Yeah. So bottoms, you're helping design the bottoms categories.
Yep.
You obviously impressed them. Now, what do you remember? Like, particularly a high point where they're like, "Oh shit, this is really good, bro!" Like, here's the next thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember that step or?
Yeah, the step was when they kind of let go of a lot of people. Like, they put a lot of stuff on other people's plates that I couldn't handle it. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. Tried my best to fulfill it. I think the breaking point of how all that worked out was years later when, like, it wasn't necessarily like I'm knocking off A, B, and C. It was working with one of my close friends, Bruce Moore, and he took me up to Nike, and we were at Nike Golf, and he was always just like, Andrew, just try to translate like what you think into like a technical terms, and I'm a rock and roller, punk rock.
Yeah.
I'm like I don't get it. Like, and then we found a fabric together. Like I was with Bruce, and it looked like a denim fabric. It was something that like Nike Golf rejected like years ago, and then so we worked together to develop it better, and it looks like visually normal, but it has like a super high functionality to it, and that became the Dry Fit Chino, and it was like one of the first shorts that like sold over 1 million units in a year.
Who's
Yeah.
Bruce again?
Bruce is like a close friend of mine. He
Mm-hmm.
ran innovation at Hurley.
From the Nike side or from?
From Hurley side.
Okay.
Surfer
Surfer too, or?
Yeah, he's got a lot of background. He's at Ken Dewey now. But like, yeah, just like definitely like one of, like, I really respect him. And there's another guy, Ryan Megan, who kind of helped like take that and like push it across the finish line.
Yeah.
Because you can't just make cool stuff and not be able to sell it.
So were you initially thinking of like, I'm gonna design this like kick-ass chino, or you saw the fabric and be like, hey, this would be a good chino, like how did that?
It was a long process. It was to be honest, it was someone telling me multiple times in meetings I was very uncomfortable in, like, this is a 7 out of 10. This is still a 7 out of 10. Like,
After you redid it and you
and I was young, like I'm just like I don't know how to make a 10. Like, tell me how to make a 10.
Wow.
And they're just like making a 10 is being persistent about what you're making and standing behind it forever. Like, it's just like your word. Like, like
yeah, your Academy Award.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah.
your
so
performance didn't quite make it to Academy status.
Yeah, so it's, and I compare it to when I became the design director. I'm like, I always told my friends and people that worked with me, and the best thing you can do is literally put it on the table. Because if you don't put something on the table and get critique about it,
You don't grow,
it's
and
never-
then,
it's
and
never
then nobody
gonna-
helps you
yeah,
cross that finish
never
line.
gonna.
Well,
yeah, like,
what I was like what Bruce said is translate. I forget what you said, but he said
Your
that-
ideas to technical.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
which is a very good in the world of Nike and design and innovation. Those are the words and sentences and inspiration that you need to get, in your head. Like, how do you become a better designer?
you gotta think
You do
differently.
it this way,
Yeah.
right? Your way, because you have the
Well, there's a corporate way and there's your way, which is not confined to traditional.
unconventional.
Yeah.
Like you're an
unconventional.
innovator unconventionally. Like you've never had proper training in designing shit, but but they knew that you could design it. And to get you to design their Hurley Nike way
Yeah,
is like
something that
translate
works.
that, right? And that innovation into what you want to make.
Yeah.
And then what you were saying, again, that's so cool to hear that these guys are like 7 out of 10. It's
Yeah.
a blunt statement that hurts your ego, but it also pushes you to
Yeah.
like, whoa, I'm at 7, which is pretty fucking good
Yeah.
for having no training whatsoever.
Caesar degrees.
Yeah, if I dropped a couple 7s in the heat, I'd be stoked. I'm making it through. I'm not winning, but
Yeah.
I make it through.
Yeah, you're making some semis, you're making some quarters, like
Yeah.
You want to
in
win
the-
that trophy. You want to get that freaking accolade. And
Absolutely.
so you developed it. It sold 1 million units. That Chino, dry fit Chino.
At least.
No.
No, this was like the Phantom Chino is another thing that like with bonkers, but and it's you know what it's like.
What
it's-
year was this in your tenure at Hurley when you finally 3 or 4 years in?
This was like when I think when that thing came to fruition was probably like 2009 or 12. Like
Okay.
that's a big gap, but
Yeah.
I think it's like around there. There's a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
Because
But
you're like a what
But
were
your
you
work-
called like a junior designer when you first came on.
when I first came on, yeah, like an assistant designer.
Assistant, okay.
Yeah. And
But
and then when I finally so I quit my job at one point.
You quit early.
Yeah.
Because you had
Like
another trip
here's
to
the
go?
thing, I'm working on this like timeline. So I quit my job at one point to do the Japanese motors, like
Full time.
Okay.
full time.
Okay, let's jump into that because that was, I mean, a pretty big thing for quite a few years.
Yeah.
You know, you got,
And
Nolan and Alex Canos,
Canoes.
and I mean that in that era that you guys were fucking killing it.
Yeah.
Japanese
band?
motors.
Yeah, how did that band form and when?
I don't know when the band formed and when it did. I know that there was a lot of people that worked within that band before me. I know, like you and Scotty said, like he was the first drummer. I'm like, you don't even know how to play drums, dude. You don't even know how to play drums, dude. Sorry, I whispered that.
Yeah.
But
That's-
yeah, I love Scotty. Scotty's actually.
Skopnik?
Yeah, I love Scotty. Like,
Ooh.
we're good friends.
I know how to play the drums, dude.
No, but like I fell into that whole thing. That goes back to like my whole repercussions of insecurity within music, like where it's like yeah, I did the Ryan Hurley band, I did my brother's band, and I got kicked out of my brother's band, got kicked out of Ryan Hurley's band, and then I did another thing, and so for me, like someone that's like grew up with Eric, like from NoFX, like
Fast,
Smelly, like,
Yeah.
like
raw, fast.
and like I'm
Energy.
just like slowly like going like this, like like I'm like these different bands, and then now I'm down here like doing this particular band, and it's like super easy for me. I'm just like, where am I at right now? But that was like the most financially successful band.
Japanese motors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you get on the band?
I had a studio, same guy that owns this building, Johnny McRae, I play in a band with now. But he owns another building over on Monrovia, right by Volcom, where Outpost Kitchen used to be, and he was so gracious to give me a studio to do my art, because I was an artist, like, like literally like just make. He's like, here's a space for you. I lived with them at the time, and like you can get here. And then he's like, by the way, you're gonna be kind of sharing this with this guy Al. I'm like, Alex knows. He's like, yeah. He's like, Al. And I'm like, cool. And so lo and behold, like they would have band practice and
Did they know you played?
no,
No,
but like they play,
you're
they
sharing
practice,
your space.
practice in like my space, and it's like to be frank, I'm just like this is terrible, like
The music
yeah,
is terrible.
yeah, like no, just like the composition of it,
Yeah.
like and so anyways
You said a kick-ass drummer.
So the drummer, he was actually a really good drummer. Just like there's a lot of things that didn't like kind of line up. He bailed, and they're like, shoot, we need a drummer. And I'm like, I play drums, and that's how it started. And like,
How fucking
and I
wild.
started, and yeah, like the first song was "Spending Days," and I think it's. But
Did you already know the beat and the rhythm of that song prior to like, because if they were,
I didn't have to.
yeah. but you know what I mean? If they're practicing out of there, did you know what song that was? No, didn't
like,
matter.
no, it was just like it was pretty natural and like, but it was rad because it was a huge opportunity and like we all became like really close friends, and like our studio was right next door, right on the opposite side of the cement wall was where our studio was for I think 2 years or something. And Al lived there, Nolan lived there for a little bit, and then we went through a lot of bass players. But no, it was fun. Like we got to tour, which was like every young kid's like dream.
Yeah.
And then you realize the dream's like it's difficult.
You're like 27?
No, I was 25
Okay.
at this time. Yeah. They were younger than me.
But that took you like international, like Japan and here, like wherever surf. kind of
With
scene was?
this it was like mostly like Australia.
Australia?
And,
Wow.
But we were there for a while. Had some just had good shows, fun times, and then like some of the bigger tours were mostly.
Were you making decent money?
The only reason we were making decent money was because we got royalties. And that was back in the day when you can play music and get royalties. And fortunately, thank you, Alex and Nolan. But we like made a deal like where we'd split it up like equally. And like the way the music industry works, it's like singer-songwriter gets 50%. And then guitar, like it's all divvied out, but then the singer-songwriter still gets the divvy of the divvy. So it's like, fortunately it worked out because otherwise we'd probably hate each other more. Like,
Yeah.
we all love each
But it's tough, you know, it's running a business and,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, it's divvied up accordingly and it's,
other.
So
it's always tough.
when you say you were doing art, what were you creating?
Photography, art, or like
No,
hand
this was like more painting and trying to figure out like my own style, like which I did through wood stains and like making weird relic stuff. Like this is like a good example of. It's not the best example, but it'd be like. It's an anchor, but it's like all wood
shit.
stains, and like I started all of my art with phone books because
as a backdrop.
yeah,
And then you laminate it and then you would resin over it.
That's pretty
Stain it,
original.
resin it.
But that's how it all started. Like that's my art. Like
So you're bringing a little bit of your woodwork experience and a little bit of your time in the factory, surf factory, and kind of encompassing it all.
Nautical, like a nautical
very
vibe to it.
nautical, yeah.
So you took a chance, quit Hurley, got in the band, was doing art. How long did that last? A year? 2 years?
Just about a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, I think we all got to the point where we were definitely going different directions within music, and I think our decision was to remain friends, and it's like, man, maybe we just don't need to do music together.
Yeah.
And it was rad because that's when I came back to Hurley, and like eventually that's when I was able to graciously become the design director there, and like a lot of
Right off the bat, or
no, not right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like there's
So when did you have to come crawling back, or did you they're like, hey,
no, someone randomly asked me to come back, like hey, like, because I was doing electrical on the side, like in between like touring and stuff, because you still got to make money, right?
Yeah.
And somebody was just like, hey, do you want to do like hat tech packs? And like, it was John Crawford, like he's worked at Rico for a while.
Is it Billabong now?
Is he?
Yeah, Johnny.
Is that the one we saw at Visla?
No.
Okay.
Do that. Or that?
Edit.
Yeah. He's been.
Anyways, yeah, like I got the opportunity to come back, and I didn't ask for it. I didn't really want to come back, and the biggest part of me leaving the company for the band was a lot more complicated than me coming back. It had nothing to do with my what I was doing. There was just like a different guard that came in, just people that got brought in that they have their own people, they have their own mind shift, and I'm like, dude, you know what? Like right now, it's probably my best choice to go play music, and it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those people were gone by the time I came back. But
You gotta know when to kick out sometimes, and then
yeah,
drop back in.
yeah, that's just
Pull in the close up.
yeah. Yeah. Why you guys keep pulling me into a closeout? No, like that.
I love
But that's the
closeouts.
biggest thing I've learned is it's just like, you know, like take everything in stride. Like
Yeah.
don't rush it. Like seek advice. Like pray. Like ask for guidance.
Yeah.
Like, whoever you pray to, I pray to the Lord Jesus, but you know, but ask for guidance. You know, because a lot of people don't, and you know what? My life is a testimony to someone who didn't figure it out, who got really messed up, who couldn't put all the pieces together, but someone
Was looking out for
helped,
you.
someone helped me do that.
Yeah.
And
Well, you've put yourself in all these positions that you have to figure out the solution.
Yeah. And it doesn't.
through your travels. I
And
mean,
well, a lot of it doesn't. You until you've gone through all that at the time, it's just chaos, and it's kind of like I'm lost, and all this doesn't know, and but it eventually opens up doors, and then
Yeah.
later, it all comes to fruition on like all of that was for a reason. All those trials and tribulations, and all that hard work, and all those crazy decisions put you where you're at now.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be where you're at now without having gone through that.
no, absolutely.
You know,
So
but
you-
it's hard to.
you go back to Hurley, you start doing hats, tech packs for hats.
Mhm.
Then what happened?
Then just things started falling in place. Like I need to apply myself, my skill set, and have people.
He started turning 7s into 10, Lyndon.
Yeah, yeah, go from 7 to 10. Right?
Well, you
No, but
kind of
that
hit
was
the-
during the time where like Roger White was just like, "This is a 7. This isn't a 10." Like like
That's
when
in your
you're,
back of
when
your
you're
head.
still like young, it's like, ugh, you're like scared to death of that, and
Now you're challenged.
But when you actually like hit that, like you're like, why the F was I trying to hit that for an old guy from England? Like why can't I do that for myself?
Yeah.
That's the big thing. It's
Yeah,
like
push
it's like a
yourself.
lot of people are just like
Yeah.
they need people to push them, they need people to like drive them, they need people to encourage them. They need people to tell them that they're doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
They do. But the thing is, it's like, rise up, step it up. Like,
Well, I
do it for
like
yourself.
the harsh kind of critique, but in a in a positive way. When that Bruce guy said, translate it the way you would into innovation.
That's the piece you got to take out of
Yeah.
context versus the 7 versus the 10 versus
Yeah.
do what
But that's
you
good
know
too.
it is cool and sell it and own it, you know?
But you took a step back from being like the bottoms guy, because to me, correct me if I'm wrong, the bottoms category is way more important than the hats, right?
No, yeah, no.
Bigger category?
Well, financially they can be pretty equidistant.
Yeah.
But hats are the #1 selling thing in all business.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like revenue driving, like t-shirts might be more.
Hats number
Yeah.
2. Tees and hats are close 1 and 2 depending on the season and whatever.
We can edit that
Yeah.
part out.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
a
think
secret.
it's,
I mean, we're speaking.
I think
of,
it's t-shirts and then wovens.
Yeah, well, you work
We
for
can,
the wrong
we,
brands.
we can edit that part out too.
No, but okay, so you start excelling in the hats, and then you start taking over other categories, like
Yeah, I'm back in business, like, and it was grace. It was just people giving me opportunities, and that's
But challenges too, you know.
and like epic challenges.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get challenged, like you're
you
like
don't grow.
yeah, you're screwed. Like
But you're in a tight group, a design group, and yeah, you got all these designers for specific categories, but you're all feeding off each other. You're all seeing the wins that that category that designer's having, you know. So I'm sure you're getting a lot of inspiration, a lot of like good feedback of camaraderie / like
yeah.
cohesiveness. You know, that's what a brand needs, and
Yeah.
within its design group.
no, that's like. Can we pause this?
Sure.
I just gotta pee.
You hear that? He's got a pee. I do too.
Oh, you dirtbags. Hello. Is it me you're looking for?
So
And we're back.
the milestones.
Yeah, so the milestones of just working through the corporate construct. One of the biggest ones that I can remember is there was this guy named Tyson, and he had a full meltdown at work. Full meltdown, mental.
And Tyson works in design.
He actually started working for Hobie when Hurley owned Hobie, and kind of got in over his head a little bit. And someone said
Couldn't take the pressure.
he could.
What do you know about pressure?
Was he
He was
the
under pressure.
was he the design director? Or?
He was the design director at the time. He was just not where they. Like it was just bad for everyone. It was bad for everyone.
Yeah,
Like
bad
it's
morale.
It's like, dude, like you shouldn't be in this position. You're not the right person. Blah blah blah. So anyway, someone sends him an email, and they're like, how's the outerwear tech packs coming along? Like, are we gonna hit our dates or whatever? And he has a full meltdown. Like, full meltdown. Throws his computer.
Wow.
And
This is
In
where
the
you
office.
shine and fill in.
In the
Yes.
office.
yeah, he
Throws his computer in his office. In the office.
yeah, Jay hit the nail on the head, but it took a long time. But yeah, so it was more of like I'm at my desk and I threw my computer, but the thing that happened was he just hit the right spot on the computer to make that thing malfunction. It was like, and Chris Hurley sat next to him at the time. And he was a really reserved dude. He's super mellow. I love Chris.
Whoa, bro.
Yeah.
Why you
But
getting all
no,
freaked
he just-
out?
No, wait, Chris just like stands up and walks out.
One no part of
And
this.
so then like everything, it just keeps unfolding and like, so suddenly like he's outside like just having a rant and rave, and some other people close to me like I don't think they want to be like divulged in the situation. We're just like, dude, he's a danger to himself and others, and like definitely to others. And I'm like, check out this photo. And like the night before, he was shooting a bow and arrow, which we had from like a JoJo Whitmarsh like leftover like set into Rosie's head. If you remember Rosie, she's our old model. And like she had this giant like
Photo on the wall.
Yeah, and he's just like shooting a bow and arrow, dude. Like,
He's
I happened to be
he's
there.
doing
Like,
it.
yeah, like and like I happened to be there like filming it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this guy's a psychopath. So, anyways, like he committed corporate suicide that moment, and he gets let go, and I'm just like, oh, finally my moment. But like every person like in senior leadership was not my moment. Literally.
You weren't the name coming at the top of their tongues.
Oh no, like but they had no name too. Like it was like.
But you saw
But like
opportunity.
I had encouragement from like some of my peers like Ryan and whatever. Like there's a lot of people that were really encouraging me and like and just like I don't know if I can like back up like a guy that was shooting a crossbow in someone's head. Like,
Yeah.
and so anyways, like it worked out. I got the job, and that's how it all started. But it was the most.
How many years?
So without before getting the job, was there like a reconciliation of like the people like, hey, we got to cover that category and that tech pack for the outerwear? What like how did that? Because you still got to go to market. You still have like deadlines.
Yeah.
Who filled in and who helped? Just everybody.
Were you learning all the other
We had to
aspects?
figure it out.
You had to figure it out. Everybody contributed.
I already at that point, I learned a lot of the aspects. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't know all the aspects, But
Were you how many years back into Hurley?
It was several years. Like,
Okay.
it was, like I want to say that was 2014.
Okay.
So
So pretty much back in the saddle and learning, being in the design room with everybody for a couple of years, kind of getting a feel for everything, how everything works.
And dominating.
I already knew how everything worked.
Yeah.
I've always been a bystander of just like oh that sucks, and everyone's like that sucks, it's like well how is this going to market if everything sucks, and that's kind of how the business was being run. Like it was led to people who made decisions that were not the right decisions, that actually didn't have the compass to tell like if this doesn't suck and this sucks. They didn't know where it was pointing. Like literally,
It's like identity crisis, but
but their compass was a different one.
yeah.
It's like, okay, here's the money,
Yeah.
and we're gonna go this way. Here's the brand.
We're gonna go this way.
It doesn't. Yeah, and that's the thing that was like was the raddest thing about Hurley and the most embarrassing thing. I loved working there.
Yeah.
It
But the
was-
identity.
Yeah, it was the identity crisis for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Like, did you guys like at
As
any point in time where you're just like, Hurley's the SHIT, like I'm gonna wear it, like, were you just like literally like was there ever a point in time? where
I
you
think
were
the
just
first like
For me, no.
3 years, based on like what the team they put together right at the beginning when they broke off from Billabong and in the marketing, and they went heavy into skate and music and surf. There was a time where you're like, fuck, I'm a fan,
Yeah.
I was a fan of the marketing.
And
Never
I was a fan of what
of
they're doing, the people that we all knew that worked there and everything. But
Yeah.
I think, over the next decade plus, it just was kind of more of an identity crisis and just swaying. And that was and I think a lot of people kind of have that,
Well, it was like the perfect Nike brand to me, of a surf brand.
Sure.
Right.
Tell me what. Like, explain.
The whole like innovation part of it.
Using tech like fabrics and pushing the
It was like
performance side.
a jockey, less surfy Quicksilver Billabong. Is that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But trust me, like, for me, all the other things that I've learned that Hurley was doing on like sidebars of becoming a jockey surf brand.
Yeah.
They're doing other cool shit.
And that
was unbeknownst to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that didn't get highlighted like it should have because that was where the core would have resonated versus the mainstream appeal and what they were going after. But there could have been a better balance of all the killer shit they were doing
Yeah.
that wasn't
Absolutely.
highlighted because it's overshadowed by the Nike point of view.
Or the basic umbrella of what we gotta like put our marketing box into.
Yeah, for sure.
I
But again, that Nike mainstream and that money gave you a lot of money to do other cool shit. It
absolutely.
just got overshadowed.
So-
or didn't get highlighted like it should have a lot of
Yeah.
times.
So going back to you, did you have to interview to get that head global designing job?
I had to interview to get the design job, like the director job.
Who'd you interview with? Nike people?
No, yeah, well, he worked for Nike because he was CEO, but
Roger?
no, Roger was gone at this point. I can't remember his name. He was the former CEO of.
Seth?
No, he was the former CEO of North Face.
North Face.
That's what they do. Yeah,
I didn't know that, but yeah, sounds
That's
awesome.
where the logos are.
Oh.
North Face.
Awesome. Three Amigos?
Yeah. Jay's favorite movie.
Yeah,
so
so good.
they,
I can quote them.
We could quote the whole movie. You know what? I'm gonna put that on the reel next time.
All right, we're gonna have to edit.
Not even. This is freaking epic.
so you get the job,
Dusty.
right? You get the job,
Yeah, I'm back on the job. Yeah.
and you're like, what was the salary bump?
They hired me at almost the same price, and then like once I figured out how everything works, I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't gonna work. Like,
So
And
they,
that's
they gave you
part
the
of it.
title, but no compensation at the beginning.
yeah.
How long did that last?
Next paycheck. Out of here.
I don't even like.
No.
No,
Are you?
how do you meet?
No. Are you still single?
You
or-
did, dude.
No.
No,
You can't
like,
mute it.
no, it's a Me Too. I can't say
You can't what?
it's a Me Too. Like, that's when everything got fucking figured out.
Oh, hold on. So they didn't give you a bump in your pay, and that I'm sure that didn't sit well with you because I mean, dude.
No, so yeah, it's super hard. Like you're coming in like you left the company, you're coming back to the company, you're like oh sweet, I'm lateral,
Yeah.
and like lateral could be actually like a good thing in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just like hey, you know what? Like my trajectory with everything I've been wanting to do with my life, and where like I've always pointed myself and like directed like my work and what I'm doing is up. It's not lateral. I'm not trying to get coastal. Like,
Yeah.
go to the mountains, you know. Like so that was definitely hard, and I think through that process, like things started to like I don't know, equate or evaluate or just like equalize a little bit, and then the hardest thing to do is to get a raise in the company that you're working with. You can like you're screwed, dude. Like no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you like leave a company and come back in, or if you leave a company and go to another company, like,
It's always a bump up.
Yeah.
Usually.
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
Unless you're getting some other sort of benefits, you know, like which is still
Well,
bump
the-
up, you know.
Yeah.
the title is so much bigger and the responsibilities, there's so much more. So obviously the pay has to reflect that. And so tell us, like, how is that transition, and how is the learning pains of like being the boss of global design?
A lot more headaches.
Yeah.
A lot more people to manage.
Yeah, number one, you stop designing.
And managing
Yeah,
everybody
you have a
else's.
ton of ideas, but you stop designing.
So your favorite number was at the 3, 4, or 5, or was it a 6, 7, 8? You know, no, you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you're now that guy calling out the numbers to
Yeah.
everybody presenting you stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And you had to critique everybody else,
Yeah.
and hopefully you're critiquing them in a positive way based on the experience you've had back when you were in their position.
Yeah, so for me, that critique would come from a lifetime of experience, and hopefully not critique. Hopefully it'd be like building.
Yeah,
Hopefully, like, it's like, hopefully it'd be like,
positive reinforcement with a little tweak.
yeah, but like you know who like are some of the best designers, the worst designers, the people that need help, the people that need a little bit of work, that, you know, like it's like a garden, and it's like some plants are stronger than others, but at the same time everyone needs nourishing. And like the most horrible thing is, like, a lot of people don't get that,
Yeah.
and they won't, and they never will. But
You're in charge of cutting these people.
but I'm also in charge of like a lot of people's destinies, a lot of people's futures, and which is rad. It's like such a privilege, but at the same time it's like such
a burden too.
It's such
Curse.
a curse.
Yeah.
So like it's
I can only imagine you really helping out some people where then it benefits them and they take all the credit and they don't, like, you know, say, hey, I help, you know, like it's a delicate situation on how to read people based on, you know,
Yeah.
what they need, but also the outcome from helping people might not be what you're expecting either.
so
Right? Like that's gonna be tough.
Coach, you're a coach. You're a coach, but you're like
And a trainer
a trainer, but like it's so different from coaching like sports.
and a parent. He's a dad. Or going back
He's
to
coaching-
He's a dad.
Like telling somebody to design something, right?
Yeah.
And like looking at numbers, because that, I mean, you're designing for the numbers, right?
No,
Yes, you are.
no, they're not.
Lar. They're designing to get numbers. 10% of it is, yeah, innovation and whatever, but the rest of the line
Yeah,
is more commercial, right?
for sure.
So when I say that you're designing to the numbers, yes, you are designing to the numbers, right?
I would disagree.
Global design director, tell me. What was
If you
your
design in the numbers, your brand's going to be boring and just and irrelative. If you design towards aspiration and what you should be and where the market's going to be, and then balancing out those money makers is where the sweet spot is.
But we also shifted from like your employees and the people that you are
Yeah.
are working with. Like that's like the biggest thing for me. It's like I've never had like quote unquote flock of people. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
and like having like so many amazing designers and people, artists that have worked for me, and also having to be the hatchet man for
It's not funny, but
Yeah.
I'm laughing
no,
because it is
it's-
tough.
Yeah,
It's a
I have
really
to
tough
laugh.
job.
You have to laugh about it, but like that's a big thing. I just want to like close that out before we go into the numbers thing.
Yeah.
But like that part is effed, because you know what? You can have the most creative person that is so effed up from the night before, that's staring at a blank screen, that can't put his shit together, and everyone's just questioning why he's even here, and like that guy's actually one of the best designers.
Yeah.
But down the road, you have to fire him.
Yeah.
Not because of me, you know, like that's the thing. Like I got put into a position where it took a lot of it's just like a pillow beneath the gun, you know, like
Yeah.
like the more pillows we add, like the less you make him hear, you know, less it gets back to me,
Yeah.
and that's I don't know, like that's the thing. Like I love all my bosses, directors, like everyone I've worked with. I'm so grateful, but I'm also like bummed, like having to fire Carson Walk. You know, like that's a specific person. Like I'm bummed about like having to do stuff like that. And I was the hatchet man. You know? Like, I know.
Well, you're
like,
the
sorry,
end all
I
be all
yeah.
on
No,
that side of the, and that's business, you
Yeah.
know, and that's having the title, like Lyndon said earlier, like you
There's
are
a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
global design director, and
Yeah, so it's
at
the
the end of the
next
day, you sign off on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You need
What's the next question?
yeah,
So,
You-
so
you're
back to like, because you're in charge of all departments, accessories, bottoms, fucking polos, t-shirts, right? You have to like approve every design campaign or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's such a fucking responsibility, you know, because I've seen other design directors and seen what they have to go through, and like you said, it's because you want innovation and you want like a standout product that kind of you put your flag in and you like that's the apex, you know,
Yeah.
the apex style that we all market around, and it's the top of the pyramid and it flows down to the bottom, but you need 10% of that and like 80%, 90% of all the dumb shit.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying, bro.
yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah. Okay, go.
90-10 is a little extreme, but for sure.
20,
That's like that's a full
28.
mullet.
Yeah.
Full mullet.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I'm, you know, you've been on both sides of the coin, working in house as a, you know, sales manager.
What side of the coin are you on?
And I'm in sales. I'm an independent outside sales rep for
Make the
retail.
logo bigger, it says.
No, but it's
Love
like,
that song.
you know, the balance is like, you know, I get paid on commission. So what sells, not what doesn't sell, and what return, you know, gets returned. You know, it's all just
So what would you
So-
want? You'd want something that's gonna sell a shit ton and like tons of units so you can make your quota, right?
and
Or your paycheck or whatever.
yes,
Like literally.
but also
you're not doing this for like patriotic, like
no, but
it's a business.
it is a business. But I also want a job in 2, 5, or 10 years with the same company, hopefully.
Yeah.
So we need to have those
Innovation.
innovation. We got to have those
Trendsetter.
You know, there's
Yeah.
you got to be edgy. You got to have that new look. You got to be ahead of the curve. You know, and that sometimes sacrifices a little bit of sales. You know, and like Linda mentioned earlier, everybody kind of bites and copies and stuff. So it's like, you know, there's a fine line between being too forward and not reaping the benefits, and then everybody catching up and setting it as a real trend. And that you know, there's that year or two gap, or you know, it used to be 6 months to a 12. You know, now it's a little bit longer because of lead times. But you got to have those staples, and it all comes down to, you know, what kind of you know, support system financially that you could buy into those staples. You know.
Yeah.
And balance out the cool guidance. You know, it's very delicate
So what do you think the answer to that question is?
as far as
What Lyndon fucking said, bro?
What?
90-10 is, I think,
No,
too drastic.
no,
I think it's more of like
That's
a
not the answer.
70-30.
That's not the answer.
Yeah,
The answer is authenticity.
yeah.
And
Boom.
no, it is like
Well-
like if you like, and that it doesn't matter, like the 90-10 or whatever. Like,
Well,
but the thing is, authenticity. What is that going to do? If you're authentic to yourself, you're authentic to your brand. If you're authentic to your story,
Yeah.
if you're authentic to the life you're living,
yeah.
what are the results of that? They're probably going to be like, they're going to be multiples. It's not going to be like some crappy, like oh, I got the 90-10.
No.
You know, like in the authenticity.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like throwing numbers out at when it comes
That's
down
a good
to
point.
yeah,
That-
like
We can end
That is
that
the-
argument with authenticity.
and it is. I mean,
Because authenticity can mean 60-40. It can mean 10-90.
For
It
sure.
all depends if what you're designing in the
It
10.
could be feathered.
yeah,
Can,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
Believe it.
100%. Like, you know.
So-
but I didn't mean it in regards to like we're breaking down numbers
Season after
specifically
season.
versus like the marketing and the authenticity of staying true to your roots and
No, you know,
and
like,
building.
I'm
There's a
not
lot
to,
of
to the roots. Sorry,
Yeah.
like it was just like a blanket statement.
no, for sure.
But like I thought you would understand it.
No, we were 100% behind, and we
Authenticity.
preach it all the time.
Yeah.
On relevance and authenticity and
Yeah.
staying true to your
Yeah.
message, and
Because
it's okay to change on
honesty,
trend, but staying true to what you're about.
Yeah.
in all honesty, right? The best brands since the dawn of time, they're known for a couple pieces, right? They're staple pieces, right? And every brand's
501,
aspiration,
Chuck Taylor.
Chuck Taylor.
every brand's aspiration is to have an evergreen
Yeah.
staple product,
Yeah.
right? But you want to be innovative and authentic to your brand and create new trends that are authentic to your brand
Yeah.
so people will accept it, right?
No, absolutely. Like I wasn't challenging you.
No,
No.
we love it. We love these
But, like,
conversations.
the best part about it, like going back to what we originally started talking about before was like bottoms
Yeah.
Yeah,
design.
yeah.
So it's like the thing that like flipped the switch was like everyone getting behind the bottoms, you know.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, hey, we have a good idea. We're gonna do this, and everyone do it.
Yeah.
And that's like, it doesn't matter what type of product it is. It doesn't matter who designed it. The thing is, it's like, hey, is it a bad product? Is it doing something? Is it great? Is it something that like you would actually want to give to a friend? Is it something that like you don't have to be a rock climber to wear this? You know, like
Yeah.
is it, I don't know, like if I never sailed before, could I put this on my boat?
Yeah, I mean that's the brand identities. Is like what's your niche and what are you
Yeah.
going after? Are you a bottoms brand, or an accessories brand, or your hat brand?
Yeah.
And then there's lifestyle
I'm-
brands,
I'm
you know,
like-
that kind of play in a lot of different categories. But there's been really successful brands that are narrow for one category, and there's really successful brands that are really broad.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't
And I'm
always
trying-
start out that way, but you know, you can evolve that way, or you can just stay in your own lane. It doesn't matter.
And I'm
There's a lot
trying
of
to
different
highlight
wins.
how important a global design director position is, right? It's one of the most important jobs in a clothing brand,
No,
if not the most important job, right? Because
no.
you are steering the ship of the brand's look and feel. You know, the marketing is very important too, but if you don't have the product, you don't have shit. Like, you know, and if you're not authentically making product that fits your brand, like you said, it's all about authenticity. But just to drive and steer a huge ship like Hurley under the corporate umbrella of Nike,
Yeah.
you know, and you were the head of
A lot of
you were global
hats
design
in the
director
kitchen.
for how many years?
Like 3 to 5.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's pretty commendable that you did that for so long, right?
Yeah. Look, I had great people next to me.
Yeah.
Like doing it with me, but like what you're saying, nail on the head, is it's like, yeah, you do have this huge responsibility. You have a lot of things that can totally make you amazing or totally screw you.
Yeah. You could be a hero to zero and
Including employees.
Yeah.
Including.
Well, yeah, you got to have the right people under you that help assist your vision and
Yeah.
direction, but they
Yeah.
can also perform their duties.
Yeah.
Like that's a delicate
well, it's heavy because
relationship.
No,
A lot of them.
for sure.
here's what I think your success, why you had success, because you have an eye for design. You have the hands-on knowledge of design, right? And also you've traveled, and
He's a risk taker.
yeah, the traveling has made you, especially these difficult parts of the world, has made you resilient, and hitting a wall, you know how to get around it, right?
Yeah.
And
Always.
Dude, the guy's a camel. You know? Like, shit, this guy has
how
gone...
what's camel taste like, bro? Chicken?
Carnitas.
Really?
It is. It's like carnitas.
Is it a chewy?
Unless it's like really old, like
Yeah.
then
Is
it's
it
like,
chewy?
Then it's like chewy
Yeah.
from dragon fruit. Chewy.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's like,
Hurley, 5 years more, or
Wait,
design
wait.
director.
Yeah.
So when
And then-
yeah, so that second reign, you become, global design director until 2018, 19.
Whenever we all got fired, like, I don't know.
Yeah, 20. It all depended, I
It's
guess,
19,
right?
yeah, 19,
some,
yeah.
Some got to stay on as a consultant or freelance designers. Like some people
Is that when
were
they
still
sold
there.
it, right?
Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, like I think the most hurtful conversation I had within that echelon of what we're talking about was when the most douchiest douchebag of the company, not our company,
yeah.
came out to me and he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And he just like lays it all out. He's like, yeah, we want to keep on X, Y, and Z. He's like, do you understand that? I'm like, yeah, cool. He's like, you know what this means, right? I'm like,
You don't need me?
I'm like, what? Yeah.
You want to hear it from them.
No, I already knew it.
Yeah, but you wanted to hear
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
I already knew I was gonna get let go.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah. He's like, you are not needed, and like that's like the most damaging like thing from, I don't know, like, but also like when it comes from that place of like, it's like someone like spitting at you from the gutter.
Yeah.
Like telling you that, like, hey, you know what, you don't belong
Yeah.
on the balcony. Or
Yeah.
like whatever.
Hey,
Whatever.
Thank,
I don't even
thank,
know. What,
thank you for making this company so valuable that we actually wanted to buy it, but yet, like, you're fired because we don't need you. That's like, what?
Yeah. No, it's heavy. It still is.
Yeah.
And it's
Did
like,
you
it's really,
see it coming, or
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
I think it was
You
kind of writing on the
expected-
wall for the most employees, right? Like, people knew, like, oh shit.
Well, Nike knew it was coming like 6 months before the shutdown. So
Yeah.
That's
So was that? I mean, how did you take that knowing it was coming? Did you already have a backup plan? Were you already working on other things, or were you just going to milk it and kind of see where it took you?
I was already working on other things. I've always tried to be a planner. The biggest thing that I was working on was not getting my severance.
Oh, keeping it so under the radar that it
so
wasn't
like,
conflicting with
because
the
I
contract.
was the global design
Yeah.
director, so like I could, like if something I did wrong, like I could lose everything in a second, like,
Yeah.
and then that's probably actually not true, but like
That's
that
the
was
way
in
you
the back
felt.
of my head,
Yeah.
And that's what people tell you.
and it handicaps you, like
Yeah.
it just makes you feel like you're not
Yeah.
you can't do this, you can't do that, and that's how the brand started. Like that's how Ola Canvas started. Was like, you know what, we're handcuffed right now. That was before COVID and like the whole thing, but like I did have a handcuff on it, so that's why we started with board bags, and then we moved on from board bags to like, it's like, okay, what are we really good at? What am I really good at? It's like it's making bottoms. Like it's like, and
So can we talk about how the name came about and your vision of like starting a new, your own brand? Because you know, here you are, an artist, and canvas is kind of like something you work on, but yet canvas is a very, you know, prolific like fabric that is used throughout textiles. So
in surfing and nautical sailing.
Everything. So
it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So you know, you had this marinating.
Yeah, so how it all started was me and my cousin Eric, who is the co-founder of the brand, Eric Sheehan. I was on my sabbatical from Nike, and we were in Spain, and
Wow, what
He was-
a very lackluster like adventure. Spain? You're on a sabbatical and you go to Spain?
well,
You changed, bro.
I had two kids.
Oh, all right.
I did take him to Morocco after that, like, which was a nightmare because one of them was teething, like
Yeah, that's a good.
like
Yeah, rub some whiskey on it. You're good, John.
not Morocco. What is whiskey? Anyway,
So
so we're
you're working on it.
So me and Eric are in Spain with my whole family, and we just had a moment. Like he was going through some changes in his life, and I've always sought for more. And so anyways, we have a meeting where like we're in. I can't remember the name of the restaurant,
but you guys conceptualized.
we can conceptualize the idea because at the time I was still working for Nike Hurley, and I'm like, you know what, I'm legally not allowed to make clothing, like right now.
Yeah.
I think that was 2017. So I'm like, can't do it, won't do it. And just like, let's just come up with an idea. And so like later down the road, like we were in the garage at my house when it was more of a think tank, and I just like, I've like had maps everywhere, and like my grandma had a beach house in El Moro, Virginia. She had this place where like we're trying to like, is it El Moro? Like just like a bunch of dumb ideas.
Yeah.
And then my wife was just like, she's like, well, what do you guys actually want to like laugh? And she's like, Ola means wave, and I'm like, canvas means canvas.
Yeah.
You know, like because all I was allowed
You're
to make
overthinking it, but it's not so
and
simple.
at the time,
yeah.
the only thing I was allowed to make was bags because my
Contract.
like I couldn't really do much else than that. And so anyways, like, so that's how it became Ola Canvas, and we all have a heritage within California and Mexico, and like, you know,
Surfing, sailing.
yeah, surfing, and just like, I don't know, like the durability and dependability of like having and making something is like really important to me, and I'm gonna continually stride towards that finish line. There probably is no finish line, but that's what I want to do. Like I want to make stuff that people can have, that people can wear, people can relate to. But at the same time too, it's like dude, when everything's like stripped away, it's like it's about the moments. It's about these experiences. It's about surfing. It's about traveling.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. It's like it's gonna be the hardest thing we're ever gonna be able to dictate to the younger generation, because it's gonna be a lot harder for them to do the stuff we did.
Yeah.
It's gonna be harder for them to go the places we went. It's gonna be harder for them to play the music that we play. It's gonna be harder for them to go to school.
But now understanding, you know, these last 2.5 hours, 3 hours that we've been talking on, like,
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
you know, not even. But I'm just saying, like, now that I've kind of sat here and resonated with what I see and what the brand is about, and hearing your story, I get it. Like, dude, you know, here you are, a traveler. You're traveling like minimalist, you know, not with a lot. Like, I don't need a lot. Like, I'm going to all these places. I just need some good, durable, killer shit to travel in that's gonna like wear and tear, you know, your background and where you're at, and then incorporating that into whole canvas of what you're doing now. It's like less is more,
Yeah.
in a sense, but yet there's a lot more to the story than just, you know, paying a little bit more for something a little bit more durable. It's the journey you're gonna have within the product and what you're gonna do with it. It's gonna last stories upon stories within that person's life, you know? I should be your fucking marketing guy
Well,
and
when-
sales
when
guy.
people-
Fuck, I'm good, right?
Hey, real
Yeah.
quick on that point, because you just sparked something that I haven't thought about in a long time. My really close friend Josh, who's rescued me out of a lot of things. We've traveled together,
Yeah.
we've been all over the world together, and when a lot of stuff was coming to fruition, I'm like, Josh, like what does it look like when, because like we've been in like foreign places together, we've been with diplomats, we've been with presidents, we like literally like,
Yeah.
and it's like, what does it look like when you get off the plane, you go to the
Consulate or
whoever it is, the
prominent, like, yeah.
yeah, you're going here, and then you're going here, and then you can also get back on the boat. You know, like what does that product look like? That was like 7 years ago or something. Like I saw
Right.
the text somewhere. But he's just like, it's like, you know what? Because I've been with him on almost every trip, and he's like, you gotta look good, you gotta feel good, but the whole thing is like.
You're traveling as a
Like,
minimalist.
but yeah, you like when you get out of the plane, like you actually got effing look good. Like
Yeah.
that's
Presentable.
No, like beyond presentable. I'm going through all this stuff. Like we're going.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally trying to work on a book. Like I'm terrible at it, but I found this photo of Josh, Nate, and some really important person, a diplomat from the UK that I cannot name. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like these, like Josh and Nate, like they look like they're in the CIA. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, you guys look great.
No.
But yeah, but like the whole thing behind it is that was kind of like part of the
Inspiration.
pros
And
of-
aesthetics.
the pros, yeah, of making the brand.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
Josh
totally
is-
get it.
Josh is part of it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm going to pack a lot of granola bars and power bars and peanut butter and less clothes for sure.
Yeah. I feel like.
But if you could, you know, have killer shit that doesn't need, you know, that could weather the travel and the storm and the dirt and grind, but look,
When people ask me what like Ola Canvas looks like or feels like, I say it's workwear with a nautical purpose.
Yeah.
And people
That's
are like,
part of it.
oh, I get it, you know? Like, yeah. I like, remember when you first saw like in the summer and what you were describing, like guys getting off the plane and then walking with diplomats, when Mike Hinson and Robert August get off the plane, they're wearing fucking suits and ties and shit. And you're
Yeah.
just like,
yeah.
those dudes look fresh.
But that
Yeah.
era, that's what they wore. Now there's
Yeah.
a new era, and
Yeah.
they need to be in Ola Canvas right now.
That's right, Larson.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a
And
call
we've
from
got-
the salesman.
Yeah, the best part is we didn't get to chapter 2, which there's 10 chapters, but
No, but okay. Before, I wanted to get that one story from you when that harbor master said you could take a boat. Remember that?
that's a long story.
Yeah, we don't have that much time.
Yeah, well, Jay's gotta go.
Yeah.
Dude, it's only 4:18.
Yeah.
So we got a 20-minute story here.
Do you have 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so set up the premise of the story.
Blessings and kombucha.
Yeah. 'Cause our listeners are like going to be like, what are you guys going to talk about? Like,
Yeah.
set it up right now.
Sorry, listeners, you don't even know who I am, but the setup is okay. Been going to Yemen for about 10 years. Along those trips, we came into a free-for-all on a boat. We met the harbor master was a friend, blah, blah, blah. Get a boat.
And when you say get a boat,
Chartered it.
no.
No.
No, it's an abandoned boat that's in the Aden Harbor in Yemen, where the USS Cole was bombed back in the 90s.
Very sketchy area.
Yeah, very sketchy area. If anyone,
Pirates and shit.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're near.
That's why they have a vacant boat they're getting on.
They're near there. So, anyways, the family that was sailing the boat, they came in from the Red Sea after being on the water for, I think, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. They were sailing around the world. They come in through the Red Sea and they come into Aden Harbor, which is a rad, like expat, beautiful harbor, like full of like British, like buildings. Like there's even a miniature of a clock tower, like the whole thing. So, anyways, this family comes in. The harbor master tells them that, like, how the heck did you get in here? You're you just sailed through pirated waters, like, because that's like in the height of all the escalation of it. So they get in there, and so they abandon the boat, and that's probably like 2011 maybe. And so, anyways, the guy that ran the harbor, who was also an expat, that was from London town, cool dude, can't say his name. He's just like, hey, you know what? There's 3 boats we're gonna sink, but one of them you guys might want to consider if you want to actually do this trip that you guys were talking about. And
So he basically offered you a choice of boats.
yeah, choice of boats, like,
Cost you.
huh?
Cost you.
Well, it cost us down the road.
Yeah.
It was free, but free is very.
You can afford free.
It's like soon, yeah. It's like the word soon, like you know, like free, like what does that mean? So anyways, we actually spent the first time I went there to rescue the boat after we've already gone there multiple times. We spent 2 weeks there. My wife Christina I think she was pregnant with Arlo. We already had one boy at the time, Levi, and like everything went wrong. Like there was a car bombing, like
Whoa.
like just like literally like
Dramatic everything.
like yeah, it was crazy.
And they went with you.
No, my kids and wife weren't there.
Oh, okay.
But like they're at home and I'm away on some random trip and
Shit's
just
hitting the fan.
causing strife within my relationship. you
Yeah.
know? And
So you end up getting in the boat?
yeah, it's a 3-year story. Yeah, so yeah, you hear how time through. Yeah, so we ended up getting the boat. We scraped the bottom. That was my job. The bottom of the boat was like a coral reef. There was angelfish, like literally a 1.5 long.
And what kind of boat was it? Like
It was
a work fishing boat, or was
No,
it like a yacht?
it was a 45-foot ketch. So a ketch is a double mast sailboat that has 2 masts.
Mhm.
It's like a
Family room with a couple quarters up front?
Yeah, it's like sailing. It's like
Yeah.
sailing a bathtub.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Like we didn't know that at the time, but so anyways, like we do all this work. We spend 2 weeks there, and everything blows up in our face, including like car bombs, whatever. But it just didn't work out. And my wife at the time, she's like, "It's okay, man. Like we're like maybe it's just like God's timing." You know, like okay, cool, like. So we packed it up, came home, and then I skipped the next trip where a bunch of other friends went out there, worked on it. They got tugged to Djibouti, and then the third trip, me and my buddy Josh and one other guy, Maxwell, we sailed it from Djibouti to Sudan. But like the whole, like that whole story is like a book. Like it was
All the
Went through
it was-
some crazy
It
shit.
was effed. Yeah.
well, just
I was supposed to be gone for 9 days. I was gone for 30 days.
Wow.
just trying to keep a boat from getting stolen or robbed if nobody's there, and you guys are bouncing back and forth to fix it and work on it. And,
Did you
like that's gotta be just crazy.
did you run into pirates?
No, we didn't. But we knew where they were.
Yeah.
We went through the whole thing. Like the biggest drama of the whole trip was I'm reading a book at that time. I'll pull it up later, give you a link. But it's like a documentary of like that entire voyage from a 1950s perspective, and this guy's smuggling hashish and all this stuff. But the biggest thing that stood out in my mind was going through the Gate of Woes, the Gate of Sorrows, Baba Munda, which is like the space between Africa and Asia, and that's when like all hell broke loose, and we like burned through all our gals. And I'm still like reading through this book. I'm like, oh, the 7 brothers, or like whatever. Like there's like all the islands are the same from like ancient recordings and stuff, but it's like we're out there, and so at that point in the journey was when we were down to I think 25 liters of gas or diesel, and we had to make our way back, or make our way to Sudan.
Crazy.
900 plus miles.
I can't wait for your book.
No.
Did you sail? It just
Well, we had to sail. We didn't have oars.
so what should have taken 9 days took 30 days? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the trip that I told my wife was like, hey, I'll be gone for 9 days. We're gonna sail this boat from Djibouti to Egypt, no problem. And then right away, like everything went wrong.
Yeah.
And we only got to Sudan. Like we got to Port Sudan. Like
What were the trials and tribulations? What was the headwinds or like?
Finding fuel.
Well, the
Avoiding
storm. Well,
pirates?
the storm. Like going into it wasn't like a full-on storm. It was just headwinds of like 35 to 40 knots going through Baba Munda, and then trying to find safe harbor through there. We're already out of gas, and then at that time the entire area, like the Arabian Peninsula and North Africa, were at odds a little bit. So
You didn't know where to go.
no, we did know where to go, and they told us to F off. Like,
Wow.
like literally with a machine gun to our face. Like it was.
Machine gun always win.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah. All right, this way. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
No, it's not a laughing matter, but that's just.
That's when we had to figure out, like, okay, we're gonna have to figure out how to sail to Eritrea.
Did you guys know like how tall your masts are and how far off the coast you need to be to not be seen? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of.
That's only with Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
Yeah, because they'll
Not Somalia, no, they didn't care. Like, you know, a lot of sketchy areas.
not with Eritrea.
Mm.
With Somalia, like we're like Djibouti is like French Somalia,
Okay.
so we're already there, and then we're moving towards like Eritrea and Sudan, but Eritrea is sketchy on its own, you know. Like,
Yeah. All I know is I've been checking out the coastline, and there's fucking gotta be a lot of good waves over there.
Yeah, bet.
yeah.
I mean,
like
like,
it's-
it's swell. Like, there's like curvature of the coastline now that's fucking pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're gonna have to have
Yeah.
a part 2.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to take away from the book or books that you're coming out with or your story, you know, but whatever you're able to share with us and our guests, we'd be more than willing to sit down again and
Yeah.
hear more, because this is quite
Dude,
really
I
fascinating.
have some goals for June. So
Yeah.
hopefully I can-
And we're here to promote everything, you know, right?
Yeah.
We want to share your story because it's fucking rad.
Thanks.
So, on top of Ola Canvas, you're still doing electrical work too, right? You're just fucking, you're a madman, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 kids.
Built these lights. Every one of them. pretty
Yeah.
much.
Fucking
Well-
awesome.
Dude, Lars gotta get the kids to,
Fucking, my nickname's Dad too.
yeah. But
Lars? What do you call it?
Late night,
Late
late night
night.
Lars.
Oh, Lars.
his nickname is Dad too, because he's
Yeah.
got a,
I'm a,
yeah.
I do it
Yeah,
all.
are we?
We're
Yeah.
gonna wrap it up, bro.
We're- Wait, you don't want to do a little quick recap? Okay, our this week, surfer, drummer, artist, designer, entrepreneur, Ola Canvas, go check it out.
Yeah, if you need it, call Lyndon Cabellia.
Not for long.
714-330-9995.
Woo! Yeah, LC.
Dude, thank you.
Andrew.
Dad Atkinson.
Yeah.
Peace.
Nothing.
Yeah, now we're going